C. 2264. C. 2264. Even when Qin Xiang used all his purple pearls that he had condensed in the past few days, he could only produce one Bishing immortal lotus, and it was so together with the 6 realms God cup and the 6 realms mirrors. If he wanted to make another one, it would take more than 10 days. On the morning of the start of the trade fair, there were people who came to receive Qin Xiang and Feng Wu, and brought them to the side of a house in the villa. After passing through a formation array, they entered a large hall in the belly of the mountain. Qin Xiang and Feng Wu both felt that the 5 million Shin Yuan stone was worth it. Qin Xiang and Feng Wu sat at a big round table. There were still 18 empty seats at the round table, and this hall only had one table. There were only 20 people at the trade fair, which was not as big as Qin Xiang had imagined. Qin Xiang and the rest were the first to arrive. After that, there were more people that came in. They all sat on the luxurious chairs, and at this time, some people came over to pour the fragrant tea. You are Feng Wu," a middle-aged man shouted in surprise. Feng Wu was also shocked when she saw the middle-aged man. Her eyes revealed a look of fear, but thinking about Qin Xiang at her side, she immediately dispelled her fear and coldly said, "I never thought clan leader Feng would actually recognize this little girl." Qin Xiang immediately understood. The middle-aged man was the patriarch of the Feng clan, Feng Hao. He was also the strongest in the Feng clan. "If you have any grudges, settle them outside the venue," an old man said softly. Feng Hao had always been looking for Feng Wu, and had even heard that Feng Wu was in the Everlasting Mountain. But not long ago, he heard that something had happened to Feng Wu in the Everlasting Mountain, and he was currently being hunted down by the Everlasting Mountain. Feng Wu was related to this man. When Feng Hao sat down, he stared at Qin Xiang. He had already guessed that the man who started a massacre at the Everlasting Mountain was the one beside Feng Wu. People arrived one by one and soon the seats were full. Now the trade fair has begun. Here, as long as you agree on the price, you can buy anything. An old man said, "Please follow the order and take out your things. The first is this young Master Shin." Qin Xiang immediately took out a jade box and opened it, saying, "2 Shangpin bone level Dan." The other 18 people secretly calculated in their hearts about how many Shen Yuan stone they had. If they could get them, that would be good. "May I know how to change it?" the old man in charge of the trade fair asked. "I heard that someone here will take out the King Grade and Divine Medicine, the Purple Heart Lotus. Today, I want to exchange it for the Purple Heart Lotus," Qin Xiang said. Feng Hao said as he furrowed his brows, "I also want to exchange for the Purple Heart Lotus, and I've already made an agreement with you a long time ago." An old man said, "This will depend on what Elder Wang, who possesses the Purple Spirit Lotus, says." He looked at a black-robed elder. The old man stroked his beard and took out a small, transparent box. Inside was a purple lotus flower. This lotus flower looked like it was made out of translucent amethyst crystal. One could see a purple light emitting from the center of the lotus. This was the Purple Heart Lotus. "Clan leader Feng, although you have an agreement with me, it does not mean that I will definitely exchange with you. You all know how precious the Purple Heart Lotus is. This is a King-grade divine medicine, and one that can be used to refine the precious 3 Lotus Danas within the King-grade divine pellet." Elder Wang stroked his beard again. "The two of you take out something that you want to exchange for my Purple Heart Lotus. I think that would make me like it. Young man, if you think that you can get 2 Shangpin bone level Dan, then you're too naive." Feng Hao laughed coldly, then took out a large jade box, which he placed on the large table. After opening it, they were filled with shopping bone level danas. The more common way of trading is 1,000 shopping bone level dan. Feng Hao said indifferently, then shot a disdainful glance at Qin Xiang. Everyone started to exclaim in surprise. Previously, they had heard that the everlasting mountains Qingshin's spiritual lotuses were only auctioned to 708, but now Feng Hao had taken out 1,000 of them. Chen Xiang laughed. Amongst these 1,000 shopping bone-level Dan, many of their quality are relatively average. At most, it can be counted as 800. Aren't you trying to cheat me? Everyone nodded. With a sweep of their consciousness, they could roughly tell the quality of these bone-level Dan. Why don't you take out something decent? Other than those heavenly star great leaders, do you think that it's easy to take out 1,000 shopping bone-level Dan? Feng Hao scoffed. Don't think that just because you have 2 Shangpin bone-level Danes that you are so amazing. Chen Xiang let out a soft sigh and then also took out a big box. After he roughly summarized the box, the medicinal fragrance inside gushed out like Gus. Hi plus ing spring water. I also have 1,000 shopping bone-level Dan. This isn't too hard for me. Chen Xiang smiled faintly, looked at Elder W. A.N.G. and said, Elder W. A.N.G., you should be able to differentiate between my good and his good. Everyone's eyes were straight as they looked at the high-quality bone-level Danes in the box. They used their spiritual sense to scan the box a few times, and each pellet was of the high quality and very fresh. Feng Hao took a deep breath. His heart was filled with anger. He never thought that the young man who had started a Ma's Saker in the everlasting mountain would have such a deep background. When he saw Feng Wu sneering at him, his heart was filled with rage. He was actually looked down upon by this woman. What made him secretly hate was that Feng Wu was from Feng clan. Feng Wu should have gotten benefits if he found a good man, but because of the conflict he had with Feng Wu ran away from home. Although Chen Xiang was surprised to see Elder W. A.N.G., there was disappointment in his eyes because this was not what he wanted. The Purple Heart Lotus was extremely important to Chen Xiang, so he would not let go of this opportunity. He took out another small jade box, and after he opened it, everyone present took a deep breath. Elder W. A.N.G. choose between the two. When Chen Xiang saw Elder W. A.N.G.'s eyes Hi plus Ning, he knew there was hope. As everyone was admiring these bone-level Dan, they were also very curious about where Chen Xiang's bone-level Dan came from. This pill formula was only owned by the powerhouses of Heavenly Star Realm, and this young man actually had so many. He definitely did not buy them, and the quality of the bone-level Dan was not the same. I choose 10 Shangpin bone-level Dan. This was already a huge profit for him. Normally, even if he had more Shen Yuan stone, it would be difficult to get them. Very quickly, Chen Xiang and Elder W. A.N.G. finished their exchange. Elder W. A.N.G. left, but Chen Xiang did not leave, which made the others secretly rejoice in their hearts. In their eyes, Chen Xiang was a tyke. OON. C-2265. C-2265 Chen Xiang continued to stay in the trading center only to see what good stuff he would have next. At the same time, he also planned to anger the patriarch of Feng clan, Feng Hao. As the patriarch, Feng Hao must have known about this matter. Chen Xiang guessed that the reason he came to this trading center was to see if the Bishing Immortal Lotus would appear here, or if he could exchange it for the King Grade's divine medicine that was comparable to the Bishing Immortal Lotus. Although Feng Hao was the patriarch, there were still a few factions in the Feng clan. The Bishing Immortal Lotus were under his control, and if they were to lose them now, they would definitely be scolded by the people from the other factions. Feng Hao, don't you have a Bishing Immortal Lotus? Could it be that you plan to attack them this time? A middle-aged man laughed and asked, I am very interested in your Bishing Immortal Lotus. Feng Hao snorted. Bishing Immortal Lotus is the clan-protecting treasure of my Feng clan, and furthermore, it's a Bishing Immortal Lotus that can condense 3 lotus seeds. I'm afraid you can't afford it. Chen Xiang secretly nodded his head. The lotus seeds that the divine lotus seed had condensed were also very important. They could be used to concoct pills if the quality of the lotus seed was high enough. Right now, Chen Xiang had already obtained 3 divine lotuses, the everlasting mountains Qingxin spiritual lotus, and the purple heart lotus he had just obtained were all only worth 1 lotus seed. Yuer placed the spirit seed into the 6 realms God cup, and then put the Bishing immortal lotus into the 6 realms God cup. See if you can quickly produce a lotus seed. Chen Xiang said. When he first entered the 9-star God realm, the spirit seed he obtained combined with the 6 realms God cup's usage already had the effect of making the divine medicine mature. He hadn't tried it yet, but he had Yuer plant a lot of spirit seed inside it. The middle-aged man who was ridiculed by Feng Hao was unconvinced. He took out a black box and said, "Your Bishing immortal lotus S may not even be able to compare to the things inside my box." Everyone was surprised as they looked at the black box. The middle-aged man opened the lid, revealing a large black fruit. "What is this?" Although everyone could see that it was a fruit, they did not know what kind of fruit it was. "You don't know? This is called the bone-level fruit. After eating it, you will be able to condense bones," the middle-aged man said loudly. "I received 2 back then, and if I eat one, I will condense bones." Feng Hao sneered. "This is just one side of your story. I, Feng Hao, have lived for so long, and I have a great understanding of divine medicines, but I have never heard of the bone-level fruit you speak of. It's up to you whether you want to believe it or not, but I can use my life as a guarantee that after eating it, you will be able to sense the existence of new bones, and even if you don't immediately condense it out, you will feel the vague existence of bones. As long as you focus on cultivating that bones in the future, you can condense it out very quickly, and it won't be like how many bone-level dan you eat." The middle-aged man was very confident. "I already have 5 bones now. The 5th bones was formed from this fruit. Back then there was no pain at all." Everyone present looked at each other, shook their heads, expressed their disbelief. They were sure that if they ate it, they would be able to condense bones. This was just too shocking. Star Law Divine Realm had existed for many years, but they had never heard of such a fruit. Chen Xiang also asked Yuer, and Yuer also indicated that she had never heard of it before. Feng Hao sneered. "Do you see that? No one here believes what you said. You only have 1 fruit, and you are the only one who has eaten it. It is very difficult to prove anything, unless you make me eat it. Don't even think about it." The middle-aged man was somewhat angry because no one believed him. He put away the black box. "Brother, I am interested in your fruit. How can you exchange it with me? But let me explain first. I don't have much Shangpin bone-level dan left on me right now, not even 10. Chen Xiang said. "I am Gulong, thank you for believing me. Even if that is the case, I will not easily exchange it with you. If you do not have enough Shangpin bone-level danas, do you have any more valuable divine medicines?" Gulong stood up and cupped his hands towards Chen Xiang. No one believed that his words made him feel awkward, but Chen Xiang had expressed his interest towards his fruits, which was why he paid his respects to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang thought for a while, then said, "You just said that you are interested in Bishing Immortal Lotus, right?" Gulong nodded his head and said, "I am interested, but there isn't enough Bishing Immortal Lotus to exchange for this fruit of mine, unless you condense 4 lotus seeds." 4 lotus seeds? It would take hundreds of thousands of years to achieve that, and 500,000 years for my Feng clan's Bishing Immortal Lotus to condense the 3rd lotus seed. Feng Hao said in disdain, "Don't tell me you expect this kid to have Bishing Immortal Lotus?" Chen Xiang smiled lightly. "I really do have one." Feng Hao was immediately shocked, because their Feng clan had just lost his Bishing Immortal Lotus and the elder had already died. He did not even know where his Bishing Immortal Lotus had gone. Just now, Yuer had told Chen Xiang that she had used a large number of spirit seeds, in conjunction with the 6 realms God cup S, to successfully make the Bishing Immortal Lotus give birth to a lotus seed. Chen Xiang now had 2 Bishing Immortal Lotus. One was copied, and it even had a lotus seed born, and the whole was much bigger than the one he had before. Oh? If little brother has a Bishing Immortal Lotus, can you take it out to broaden our horizons? An old man laughed and said, You don't look like someone stingy. You will definitely let us have a look at the world, right? No one present had a good impression of Feng Hao, and they all agreed with the old man's words. Feng Hao was petty, and to say that he would hurt others with his words, Gulong must have been angered by Feng Hao just now. Chen Xiang took out a jade case, and after opening it, a jade green lotus, that looked as if it had been sculpted from a piece of jade, immediately appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Where did you get it? Seeing that, Feng Hao asked loudly. His tone was extremely stern. Where did I get this? What does it have to do with you? Chen Xiang laughed coldly. Could it be that only the Feng clan has one? Or do you want to say that this was stolen from your Feng clan? Feng Hao was extremely familiar with his own Bishing Immortal Lotus. He could confirm that this one in front of him was not from their Feng clan, and it was much better than theirs. Because he had lost his Bishing Immortal Lotus, and there were even more people like Chen Xiang, who he disliked, so he was very angry in his heart and wanted to immediately snatch them away. Do you want to change it? Gulong immediately asked. I, Gulong, promise with my life that my bone-level fruit's effects are exactly the same as what I said. I, Gulong, am the Star Lord of Earth Dragon Star. If you find something different when you eat it in the future, you can come and find me on Earth Dragon Star anytime. C. 2266. C. 2266. This Gulong was actually the Star Lord of a star. This made Chen Xiang and everyone present very surprised. Yuer said, Earth Dragon Star should be the Earth Stage stars. For him to be able to become the Star Lord with only 5 bones, it means that he has a very strong background. Otherwise, this kind of strength isn't enough for him to become the Star Lord of the Earth Stage stars. Chen Xiang hesitated for a moment, then said, All right, I will bet I believe Brother Ji's words. Gulong laughed. You really dare to gamble? How should I address you, little brother? People like you should be very famous. Chen Xiang pushed the Bishing Immortal Lotus over and smiled faintly. Chen Xiang. Just as Gulong was about to receive the jade box, his hand suddenly froze, because he had heard of this name before, and everyone present had heard of it. Is the person who started a Ma's Saker in the Everlasting Mountain you? Gulong took a deep breath and asked. Exactly. Brother Gu, could it be that you are afraid of the Everlasting Mountain and do not dare to make a deal with me? Chen Xiang laughed, his own name becoming even more famous. He did not feel surprised at all. I'm not afraid. Brother Shen is so brave, to actually dare to fight against Everlasting Mountain. I truly admire you. Gulong Paas said his own black chest to Chen Xiang. If you are chased by Everlasting Mountain until there is nowhere to run, then come and sit with my Earth Dragon Star. Although the Everlasting Mountain is a great power that governs one of the Heaven Stage stars, I am not afraid. If there's a chance, I will definitely go. Chen Xiang cupped his hands towards Gulong. They were not confident like Gulong. They were worried that the Everlasting Mountain would hate them if they were to exchange with him. After all, if the Everlasting Mountain found out about this, he would definitely hate them. Chen Xiang stood up and laughed. Everyone, I have already obtained what I want, so I will take my leave first. He looked at the elder in charge and asked, Will this matter be leaked out? The old man said, We can't guarantee that we won't leak it out, but we can guarantee that if this matter were to be leaked out, we will definitely find out who leaked it and kill them. All right, farewell. Chen Xiang clasped his hands at the old man, then left the hall. He wanted to obtain either the Bishing Immortal Lotus or the Purple Heart Lotus very much, but his own financial resources were limited and he could not exchange for it at all. This made him even more jealous of Qin Xiang. Today, Feng Wu had broadened her horizons. She was very curious as to why Qin Xiang was able to suddenly take out the Bishing immortal lotus of the 4 lotus seeds. Feng, how that fellow will definitely be angered to death. Feng Wu chuckled. In the past, he was a lofty existence in my eyes, but now, he doesn't seem to be anything special. Qin Xiang smiled faintly, then proceeded to the city's transmission array, teleported away from this cyan profound star, and returned to Tsang Cloud City. Jing Zhe and Ting Yong were currently running all over the place. They planned to use a long period of time to travel all over the famous stars of the Star Law Divine Realm to purchase as many of the divine medicines to refine bone-level danas as possible. They only needed to think of how to turn those flowers into precious bone-level danas. They had only given Qin Xiang 30 sets of Shangpin bone-level Dan's divine medicine, and Qin Xiang had already given them 180 of them. This gave them a lot of motivation and Shaun. Big brother, I've already won over 10 people. They all plan to leave Everlasting Mountain to follow you. When Qin Xiang returned to the Tsang Cloud City, he received a message from Hualang. Let them wait for a little while, I have to make arrangements. Qin Xiang replied. He currently lacked manpower, so Ting Yong and Jing Zhe were already out and would not be able to return for a while. Qin Xiang thought about it and decided to send messages to Huang Jintian and Huang Yantian. They were not in the Tsang Cloud City right now, but they had an agreement with Qin Xiang that they would come back once in a while to receive a message. Feng Wu, why don't you go and contact Hualang first, and settle down the disciples that exited the Everlasting Mountain? Qin Xiang gave Feng Wu 20 Zhongpin bone-level Dan. You think of a way to sell them, get some Xin Yuan stone, and then distribute them to the disciples. All right. Feng Wu was also very idle right now, but if Qin Xiang wanted to refine pills, naturally, she had no time to care about these things. She had always been, and she could not do anything for Qin Xiang. Feng Wu bought a villa in Tsang Cloud City, and Qin Xiang was in a secret underground room in the villa. Are you analyzing that bone-level fruit? Qin Xiang asked. Is it like what Golong said, only eating it would allow one to condense bones? I can't be sure, but I've discovered that there's something similar to bones inside this bone-level fruit. However, this type of bones is not like a human's. If a human eats it, they might really be able to condense their bones. Yue was also a little excited. I never thought that there would actually be such a magical thing. I had always been delusional, if only I had something like this that could immediately congeal bones. Qin Xiang laughed. I think refining this thing into a pill is the best. I need to refine a 3 Lotus Dan first and cure Shui Yi's poison first. The 3 Lotus Dan was a divine pellet of king grade, so Qin Xiang didn't have absolute confidence in refining it now. He let Yue use the spirit seed and the 6 realms G.O.D cup first, allowing the 3 divine lotuses to condense more lotus seed. Right now, I need to condense more purple pearls and cooperate with the 6 realms G.O.D cup to replicate the Taipin bone-level Dan. I need to refine a few more Taipin Dan before I can try out the king grade. Qin Xiang activated his alive slain method and condensed a purple pearl. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. There are already 4 lotus seeds, and 10 of them are used to refine Taipin bone-level Dana. We haven't been able to obtain any 9 Yin and Yang Dan's divine medicines for the time being. Yue said. Her work in the cave was relatively easy. She only used purple pearls to dilute the spirit seed into water, and let it take root and grow into a grain of rice, then peeled off 1 grain at a time. Now, Qin Xiang finally understood why the 6 realms God cup in the Black Stone Divine Venerable had a heaven-ranked king grades divine medicine. It was all caused by that spirit seed. I wonder if the Star Law Divine Realm has ever auctioned the low-rank bone-level Dan before? Qin Xiang looked at those familiar divine medicines. In the past, the ones he refined were all middle heaven grade ones, but now they were all high quality ones. No, who would be willing to sell this kind of thing? They were all left to try and break through to the 8th or 9th divine deity. Long Xue laughed. But very soon, people will sell it. Chen Xiang had become stronger and stronger, and Yuer was very happy as well. Only by doing this would she be able to protect her cat race from being bullied. The type-in bone level Dan should not be difficult for you to refine, right? Yuer asked. It's definitely not difficult. Bone level Dan have always been easy to refine. Chen Xiang took out the chuangs. Hi plus God furnace, and after placing a few high-quality divine medicine in it, he began to use the Tao Heart Eye and then use the original source refining to refine it. C. 2267. C. 2267, when Chen Xiang came to the Star Law Divine Realm, he discovered that the position of the strong pill God was even higher there. For example, right now, he could rope in Ting Yong and Jing Zhe, who were both able to win over the 100 GODS level. He felt that since he was refining pills, it wouldn't be good for him to go out and fight all day, so he should just leave this matter to others. He would usually refine pills, and flirt with his woman, and if there were really things that his subordinates couldn't solve, he would personally do it himself. He felt that the Star Law Divine Realm was the end of the world. All the strong warriors who had reached the peak of their strength were gathered here, and if they could establish a stable power here, then he would be able to live a peaceful life in the future and focus on breaking through to the peak of his cultivation. Refining low-quality bone-level Dan was the same as refining high-quality 9 and Yang Dan. It was not very difficult, it only took a little bit of time, and it took him 6 hours to finish refining. This was also the reason why the high-quality divine medicine was harder to refine and fuse, but after he familiarized himself with it, he could directly use the bones in his eyes to instantly refine it. 5 pills gone. Chen Xiang sighed. The quality of these 5 type-in bone-level Dan-s were all very good, but previously, when he was refining high and middle-rank pills, he produced 6 of them. I'm still not familiar enough, Yuer said. But it's not bad either. I have never seen a high-quality bone-level Dan before. I'm not familiar with it. The second batch should be enough. Chen Xiang nodded, and then began refining the second batch. The time taken for the second furnace wasn't as long as before. It was completed in 4 hours, and there were even 6 pills. Only then did he nod his head in satisfaction. I can refine the 3 Lotus Dan now. I need to quickly cure Shui Yi's poison. Thinking about this little naughty dragon that's unconscious, my heart ached. Chen Xiang said as he took out 3 lotus seeds. The Qingxin spiritual lotus was white, the Bixing immortal lotus was emerald green, and the purple heart lotus was purple. 3 lotus Dan is more than just detoxifying, right? Otherwise, these 3 divine lotuses wouldn't be so precious. Yuer said, any single pill has a great use. If they are combined together to form a pill, the effect will be even stronger. I'm not too sure either. In short, I'll just refine it first. Chen Xiang placed the 3 lotus seeds into the chuangs. Hi plus God furnace. He had pinched the 3 lotus seeds a moment ago, and they were not of an ordinary toughness. Even with his strength, he was unable to crush them. It's my first time refining the king grade in elixir, I wonder how it will turn out. Chen Xiang was also a little nervous in his heart. He took a deep breath, calmed himself down, and then controlled the chuangs. Hi plus God furnace to release the flames. It really is difficult to refine. The king grade's divine medicine is just different. Chen Xiang released a very fierce flame that burned for a while, but the 3 lotus seeds actually did not have any reaction. If the chuangs, Hi plus God furnace's current flames were to land on a divine monarch with a total of 80 to 90 divine deity, it might even burn them into ashes if it were to slow their reactions. However, these lotus seeds had been burned for a long time, yet they were still perfectly fine. Chen Xiang stopped burning and took out the lotus seed. He could not help but scold in a low voice. It's actually that cold. This lotus seed knows to release a corresponding power to protect itself. The king-grade divine medicine is truly inconceivable. This kind of power to protect oneself is comparable to an expert of the 100 GODS level. Is there no way to refine it? Yuer said worriedly. Your chuangs, HI plus G. D furnace are already so terrifying. If you can't even burn this lotus seed, then wouldn't it be even more difficult for other pill GODS? Therefore, refining the king grade's divine pellet is not something that can be done in a day or two. Even if it has been thousands or tens of thousands of years, it might not necessarily be. The other pill GODS should have borrowed the flames of the earth's core to burn for a long period of time, exhausting the power of their divine medicine resistance. Chen Xiang said, I have the chuangs, HI plus G. D furnace and heavenly alchemy, so I definitely won't use that method of death. I can only use the old method to find a solution to the problem from the heavenly alchemy. I only managed to get a little insight into the heavenly alchemy now, but I really don't know if that guy made it. It's really too scary. Chen Xiang said, Do the people from the Star Law Divine Realm know about the existence of the heavenly alchemy? I also think that it's very strange. A divine technique like the heavenly alchemy should already exceed the category of the 100 GODS levels 9 Great Bones expert. That is to say, the strength of the person who is able to create this kind of divine technique definitely surpasses its peak. Yue replied, Amongst the 4 types of taboo magic, this is the most terrifying one. The other divine arts still make sense. Chen Xiang had a greater understanding of the heavenly alchemy, and was very familiar with the many mental cultivation methods, as well as the various small methods. Right now, he could only search through his memories for any kind of methods, and then analyze them to see if he could solve the problem he was facing. If you meet a divine medicine that is difficult to refine, you need to condense a special type of flame. This type of flame is called an illusory flame. Chen Xiang said. Mystic fire? What are the specific effects? Yue asked. She was the most curious about new things. How so? Chen Xiang thought for a while, then said, Illusory fire is not a substantial flame. This kind of flame can only be seen by its users, and the person being burned can only see it, and can only sense it, and won't produce any heat either. No one else can see it. Can't see? What will happen after it's burned? Yue asked. Even if your perception is strong, you still can't sense it? I can't feel it either. The top of the heavenly alchemy is called illusory fire, but I think that calling it spirit fire is more appropriate. It is equivalent to you eating a consecutive core in me, and I will pass on to you what I think. Only you and I know that no matter how strong the others are, they won't be able to know. Chen Xiang said, Illusory fire is of a similar form. It is equivalent to me using this kind of flame, established HI plus ing a state of telepathy with the divine medicine, and then directly transmitting the flame inside the divine medicine. It means that you and I have a telepathic connection, and then, no matter what I think in my heart, no matter where you are, you will be able to receive it. Chen Xiang explained in detail. When I use the illusory flame, it is to forcefully establish a telepathic connection between me and the divine medicine, and then I forcefully insert the flame into his body, in order to refine it. When the flames were formed, it was in my heart. After sing it on, it would be inside a divine medicine. Moreover, this kind of fire comes from the fire that is imagined within my heart. Yue was astonished and asked, An imaginary flame? Chen Xiang nodded. That's right. I've used the heavenly alchemy's method and used my divine power to imagine it, then created a illusory flame. then it will pass through the portal to you, and then you will have the illusion of being burned, and then you yourself will be burned to death, a flame that only you and I can see. The heavenly alchemy is truly terrifying. Yuer sighed in admiration. If I didn't use the illusory flames to refine pills, would I be able to use it against others? Of course you can. I can pry into another's divine sense see, and if I use the bones in my eyes to break open another's defenses, and directly release fire inside of them, it would be even easier for me to succeed. Chen Xiang laughed. C. 2268. C. 2268. The 3 lotus seeds that Chen Xiang had refined were already extremely difficult to burn, and adding on to that, the divine pellet would also be able to release the strange power required to resist it, so refining a lotus seed would be even more difficult. It would take a very long time. The inside of the King Grade's divine medicine had already condensed and become very stu-rdy. After condensing a crystal, a divine medicine could store an even more powerful energy. When refining, it could create a very strong resistance. Right now, Chen Xiang was using the mystic fire refinement skill. It was equivalent to letting the divine medicine burn and refine itself, burning its own energy. Chen Xiang had only comprehended this method, but had never used it before, and did not know if it would work. Right now, he had to start using this method on the 3 lotus seeds. If he succeeded, this fantasy fire refining technique would be the best method to refine the King Grade spirit pill. Of course, this still needed to be combined with the original source, refining to allow the energy of the various King Grade and divine medicines to fuse together. Chen Xiang once again placed the 3 lotus seeds into the Chuang's Hi plus God furnace, and started to use the illusory fire refinement technique, following the instructions in the heavenly alchemy. This was an invisible flame. Even though it couldn't be seen or touched, it still consumed a large amount of his 6 realms' power. It might take me a while to refine this 3 lotus stand. You should plant more spirit seed in the ring, and see if you can create the bone-level Dan's divine medicine. Chen Xiang said to Yuer. Now, he had successfully released the mystic fire, but he did not expect that the Chuang's Hi plus God furnace could actually increase the strength of the mystic fire. As expected of the Chuang's Hi plus God furnace, all kinds of flames can increase the quality. It seems like the time it takes for me to burn these 3 King Grade lotus seeds will be much shorter. Chen Xiang began to forcefully communicate telepathically with the 3 lotus seed. Even a low-level medicine would use spiritual energy, not to mention the King Grade and divine medicine. The King Grade and divine medicine had intelligence that was not inferior to humans. One had to know that some rare flowers and herbs had good luck and could cultivate adult. LV Qinlian had transformed into a lotus. These genius treasures could be reborn if they had the chance. After transforming into a human, their strength would not be any weaker than a human's. Chen Xiang did not know how much time had passed. He only used the illusory flame to wrap 3 lotus seeds around him, attempting to invade their minds, but he did not succeed. He had followed the methods in the heavenly alchemy, and according to the methods above, he would continuously attack the heart of the divine medicine. Unknowingly, Chen Xiang suddenly had a reaction with the 3 lotus seed. The 3 lotus seeds had become very tame now. The illusory fire had already started working, starting to burn inside the 3 lotus seeds. Not long after, the 3 lotus seeds suddenly cracked open. A dazzling multicolored light leaked out from within the crack. It was green, white, and purple respectively. We've finally reached this step. Chen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief. He was still worried that it would take a very long time to finish. After the cracks appeared on the 3 lotus seeds, the illusory fire gushed out from within and began to burn the outer layer that had become extremely weak. Not long after, 3 clumps of light that were like clay appeared within the Chuang's Hi plus God furnace. After refining the Shangpin medicine and the divine medicine, they would take the shape of a liquid, while the quality would become a bit thicker. This king-grade elixir is pulp. Chen Xiang thought back to the Jingshan Dan that he had refined before. At that time, after he had used the crash method to improve the quality of the divine medicine, it had gone from a medicinal liquid to a medicinal paste, and in the end, it had congealed into a Jingshan Dan. Now that he saw these 3 clumps of medicinal liquid, he was sure that they were Jingshan Dan-s. After refining the king grade and divine medicine, is it definitely the medicinal liquid? Why have I never heard of it? I remember that I read in an ancient book that after refining the king grade and divine medicine, they would also be made of medicinal liquid, but it would be a little thicker than the first grade, but it is still far from reaching this form of thick mud. Chen Xiang was very suspicious about this. At this point, he needed to use the original source, refining, to search for the spirit blood with 3 lotus seeds. He found it very quickly. The process of fusing the 3 lotus seeds was very clear to him. After he fused the 3 spirit blood, the 3 lumps of medicinal liquid began to fuse together. The process of fusing was also relatively easy. When other ods refine the king grade's lotus seeds, they might consume a large amount of energy from within the lotus seed, so in the end, they would only form a medicinal liquid. However, when I use the mystic flame refining, the energy consumed by the divine medicine would be minuscule, which was why it is different from the energy used in the ancient books. Chen Xiang thought about it, and this was the only explanation he could come up with. The 3 lumps of medicinal liquid that were originally very thick fused together at this moment, and were even pressed down into a smaller ball. Now it was no longer a lump of milk, but rather a solid state. Very tricky. Right now it is already a very strong solid. If we continue to compress it, it will definitely condense and crystallize. The process will definitely be very difficult. Chen Xiang had refined 2 Jingshan Dan-s. The first time was a failure, like turning into a small stone, and the second time was with the help of Lu Menger and the others who used the 7 souls refinement art. This time, no one helped him, and the Jingshan Dan that was formed this time was much stronger than before, because it was refined using the king grade's divine medicine. There's probably nothing to be afraid of. I have so many divine deity now. My cultivation has increased by a large amount. Chen Xiang immediately divided the round stone orb into 3 parts, and after separating the parts, he let it become round. I'm starting to form the core. Success is just around the corner. Chen Xiang gathered all of his divine deity and wrapped them around the 3 larger beads. As long as he compressed them to a stable state, they would be considered to have been condensed into pellet. When turning into a Jingshan Dan, it would be hard to compress, but there was one benefit to it. If it failed, it wouldn't disperse, but it would turn into a rather poor quality small stone. Under the compression of Chen Xiang's powerful divine power, the 3 round beads slowly shrank down from the inside. The process was very strange, and it even emitted a sparkling and flickering light, as though it was passing through the multicolored light of a crystal. Very good, as long as this goes on, I will definitely succeed. Although Chen Xiang could feel that the 3 balls of stuff he compressed were expanding, the pressure produced by the expansion wasn't too strong. He could still control it well. Chen Xiang clearly remembered that it took him no less than 7 days and 7 nights to make this round bead into the size of a pill. At this time, his power to expand was also at its strongest. If he could no longer persevere, he would immediately explode. However, with Chuang's Hi+God furnace, even if it exploded, it would not cause much damage. Let me handle it. Chen Xiang growled, and suddenly, a burst of light burst out from inside the Chuang's Hi+God furnace. He had succeeded in concocting the pellets, and the 3 pellets were successfully refined by the Jingshan Dan, not to mention the Jingshan Dan itself. It's finally done. Chen Xiang wiped the sweat off his forehead, opened the furnace, and took out the 3 crystals from the 3 lotus dan. The quality is very good. As expected, the King Grade's divine pellet is not easy to refine. You took 2 months. Little Moon smiled and said, but it's good as long as you succeed. Compared to other alchemy G.O.D.S., the amount of time you spend is the least. See 2269. See 2269. When Chen Xiang was refining the 3 lotus dan, he only knew that it took a lot of time, but it was only 7 days. This was mainly at the stage of fusing and refining. Did it really take 2 months? Chen Xiang still could not believe it. He felt that he had only used 10 days. It's true, Yue said. Feng Wu has already been here a few times, but I haven't been able to see you. I don't know what urgent matter she has. But you'd better rest first, and take a look after you've recovered. No need to rest, my energy consumption isn't that high. Chen Xiang hurriedly walked out of the secret underground room and arrived at the top. The moment he came out, he could sense that there were quite a few people in the manor, more than 10 of them in this way. Master is here too. Chen Xiang anxiously took out his communication jade symbol paper. Upon hearing Huang Jintian's message, he had already rushed over to help him take care of these matters. Chen Xiang also didn't know how they got to know Feng Wu, or how they did it, but he hurriedly arrived outside a large house at the villa. Just as he arrived at the door, Feng Wu ran out from within. Big brother, you've come out of seclusion. Feng Wu laughed. What is it? Did something big happen? Chen Xiang followed Feng Wu into the house and into a hall. The people who were originally sitting there all stood up in a hurry because Chen Xiang recognized one of the Hualang. However, he could guess that these were all the outer sect disciples from the Everlasting Mountain, and they were all pretty strong. All of them looked very strong, very different from the inner sect popinjays. Just this valiant aura alone was enough to suppress the group of inner sect disciples. Big brother! These 10 people shouted in unison. Although their voices weren't loud, they were filled with ferocity. All right, sit down. Chen Xiang laughed and made a gesture to invite them in. These were all won by Hualang from the Everlasting Mountain. After Chen Xiang walked in, he sat at the top of the hall, listening to the introductions of the 10 men. They were all disciples that had fought with the inner sect disciples before, but they were not as intense as Chen Xiang, and were extremely impressed with Chen Xiang's actions. At first, Hualang did not say that he had bone-level Dan S for them. When they heard that it was Chen Xiang, they all expressed their wish to follow him. Big brother, now that the Eternal Leader has come out, we have no way of knowing what actions he will take, but it would be best for you to be more alert. Even though the Eternal Leader is unable to break through to the peak after coming out from closed-door cultivation, your strength has definitely increased. His name was Li Hong, and he possessed the 95 divine deity and 3 bones. I wonder how much do you all know about the Eternal Leader? I've only heard that they are not bad people. The outer sect disciples are all quite sympathetic towards them, and some even say that they would change the rules and allow the outer sect disciples to enjoy equal treatment with the inner sect disciples. Chen Xiang suddenly had another plan. That's right, the Eternal Leader has said it himself. But it will be very difficult for him to execute it. It must involve the interest of the elders of the Danji, Oodnthi, Toot, as well as the large amount of true disciples. If they want to execute it, they would rather not have this leader. A large man said. Chen Xiang thought for a while, then said, Looks like I have to go and meet him. If he has such thoughts, then it means that he is a good person. Feng Wu and the others were very surprised when they heard it. You are going to see the leader, he is an expert at the peak of the realm, are you not afraid of him? Hualang said. No. Chen Xiang smiled faintly. The heavenly Aquarius that Chen Xiang had previously obtained was given to his son by the leader. With this bottle in his possession, Chen Xiang was sure that he could have a good talk with the Eternal Leader. Ting Yong and Jing Zhe didn't come back? Chen Xiang asked. Not yet, but Big Brother's master and martial uncle are here. Just as Hua Lang finished speaking, Huang Jintian and Huang Yantian walked in with a laugh. They had exchanged for a lot of Shen Yuan stone after selling it. Now that they found out that Chen Xiang wanted to set up a sect, they immediately came over to follow him as well. Furthermore, if they wanted to avenge the undead divine race, they had to rely on Chen Xiang. Master, martial uncle, Chen Xiang immediately shouted. Hee, now that we are planning to stay here, don't chase us away when the time comes. Huang Jintian laughed. How could that be? However, you must not be lazy. At that time, there will be a lot of things for you to do. Chen Xiang laughed. Chen Xiang walked over and handed over a storage bag. Senior Master, please go back and pass the things inside to Sister Qilian. Huang Yantian was secretly shocked. He did not expect Chen Xiang to refine the king grade so quickly. A pill god that could refine the king grade's divine pellet was already considered a rather powerful pill god in the star law divine realm. Good. I'll go back now. Huang Yantian frequently visited him, and he now had many Shen Yuan stone, so he wouldn't feel so bad about using them. Other than the 3 Lotus Dan pills, there were also the divine medicines to refine the Taipin bone level Dan, as well as the things that Chen Xiang wanted to say to LV Qilian. After Huang Yantian left, Chen Xiang took out a few Zhongpin bone level Dan-s and distributed them to the 10 disciples who had just joined. You guys still have to raise your bones by a lot. Right now, we don't need to fight with other powers, so during this period of time, you should become stronger. In the future, when we touch on the interests of other big powers, we will need all of you to fight in the battlefield. Chen Xiang said. No one obtained a few bone-level Dan, which made them very excited. This was something they did not even dare to think about before. In the past, when they were in Everlasting Mountain, for the sake of obtaining the bone-level Dan, they had lost a lot of blood and spent a lot of time in order to get one of the somewhat inferior quality. But now, Chen Xiang had given everyone a few pills. It was definitely a huge gift. Hua Lang, were you suspected in the Everlasting Mountain? Chen Xiang asked. No. Hua Lang laughed. They won't suspect anything. I have always been strict with my work. Then, is there any way for you to help me send a message to the Eternal Leader? Chen Xiang laughed. What? Big brother, do you really want to meet the Eternal Leader? Hua Lang thought that Chen Xiang would wait for a while. He didn't think that he would have to go see the Eternal Leader so soon. Of course, because I feel that we won't become enemies with this leader in the future. Chen Xiang laughed. In the future, we will build our sect on top of the Everlasting Mountain. C-2270. C-2270 to build a sect on top of the Everlasting Mountain. It meant defeating all of the powers in the Everlasting Mountain. It might even attract some of the great powers from other heaven stage stars to encircle and annihilate the sect, because what Chen Xiang had done was to break the rules of the star law divine realm. Chen Xiang took out a jade talisman and recorded his voice. He didn't say anything else and only agreed to meet with the Eternal Leader at a place and talk to him alone. Hua Lang said. After Leader came out, he also frequently went to visit the outer sect disciples. I often saw him, so it wouldn't be difficult for me to hand this thing over to him. Chen Xiang nodded his head. Then you should hurry up and do it. After Hua Lang left, the other 10 disciples also went into closed-door cultivation. Feng Wu said. During this period of time, the Feng clan has spread about everything related to you, saying that you have broken the rules and are selling bone-level Dan-s everywhere. Furthermore, I wonder how they knew you killed Yuzhen. This should have something to do with the old man from Song Cloud City. The omniscient old man definitely revealed it. Even though he promised me that he wouldn't leak out any of it, when Feng Hao asks him about other things, he would inevitably say a little more. Chen Xiang said, Don't bother with him for now, it won't affect me much. Huang Jintian laughed. Why can't it affect? Enforcers are trying to capture you everywhere. If you get caught, you'll be locked up in H.E.L.L. You might even get killed. Chen Xiang laughed out loud. If they can find me, that's for the best. I'd like to see just how capable they are. Feng Wu, since the Feng clan is spreading news about me, then it means that we are enemies. You must think of a way to tell Feng how to restrain him a little, or else when I have formed my power, I will immediately destroy his Feng clan to display my might. Feng Wu nodded his head, and the Great Heaven School, they have already confirmed that you were the one who killed Yuzhen, and they are searching everywhere for your whereabouts. Who steals chickens and dogs, I will definitely exterminate him. Chen Xiang said, I will first meet with the Eternal Leader, hopefully, we will succeed this time. Chen Xiang used the S.P.A.C. wind and disappeared from the Great Hall in the blink of an eye, leaving the villa. Outside of the Tsang Cloud City was a stone mountain that looked like a pillar of the heavens. The summit of the mountain was above the clouds, and Chen Xiang was at the peak of one of the mountains, looking down at the surging sea of snow-white clouds. At noon, with the sun at the head of the mountain peak, Chen Xiang was being exposed to the sun, but this did not affect him in the slightest. Not long after, a white silhouette flew over from afar. From afar, Chen Xiang could see that it was an energetic old man dressed in a white robe, with long hair and youthful looks. This person was none other than the Eternal Leader, Dai Donggong. In the blink of an eye, Dai Donggong had already floated in front of Chen Xiang. He frowned slightly, revealing a trace of anger, because Chen Xiang had started a Ma.S. Saker in the Everlasting Mountain, causing the Everlasting Mountain to lose a few inner disciples and an elder. Sensing Dai Donggong's anger, Chen Xiang also secretly became vigilant. This Dai Donggong was a peak ranker, and could be said to be the strongest person he had ever met. However, what made him relieved was that although Dai Donggong was angry, he was able to restrain himself. Moreover, his body emitted a wave of righteous energy, and now he understood why only Dai Donggong did not go to the Everlasting Mountain, that the other big shots of the other stars joined hands to kill the undead divine race. It was because he was filled with righteousness. Such a person would not do such a thing. You are my enemy, I should have killed you. Dai Donggong observed Chen Xiang for a long time, and was the first to reply. But I never saw you as an enemy. Chen Xiang smiled lightly. As the leader, you can be considered to have failed. If you could make the environment of the Everlasting Mountain more fair and harmonious, I wouldn't be bullied, and there wouldn't be the matter of me starting a Ma.Saker. You are also at fault for this matter. Dai Donggong frowned slightly, a trace of grief could be seen in her spirited eyes. Chen Xiang didn't know why her words would cause such a reaction. You're right. As Dai Donggong looked at the endless content within, the expression in his eyes grew distant and he let out a long sigh. Senior, could it be that you have something that's difficult to say? Chen Xiang felt that such a righteous elder would not be able to control the situation in the Everlasting Mountain. Dai Donggong did not answer him, but asked him a question instead. Why did you invite me here? His back was facing Chen Xiang, which meant that he did not have any wariness against Chen Xiang. He could also tell that Chen Xiang did not have any malice towards him. It's something related to Heavenly Aquarius. Chen Xiang's words made Dai Donggong tremble all over. Dai Donggong suddenly turned around, his eyes became extremely sharp, but he was able to control his emotions and ask slowly, Do you know the relations Hi plus P between me and the Heavenly Aquarius? Since that's the case, you should know about the matter regarding my beloved son, right? I just know that the Heavenly Aquarius was created by you, Senior, and given to your son. Death, Heavenly Aquarius's whereabouts are unknown. Chen Xiang said, The Heavenly Aquarius is currently in my hands, but... Seeing Dai Donggong's expression changed, Chen Xiang anxiously retreated, and said loudly, But I did not kill him, the heavenly Aquarius was only obtained from another person's hands, but I know who held the heavenly Aquarius. Continue. Dai Donggong took a deep breath. In order to calm him down, Chen Xiang handed the heavenly Aquarius over to Dai Donggong. I got the heavenly Aquarius from Yuzhen, but I don't know where he got it from. What Chen Xiang had said was the truth. He then continued, however, I feel that this matter is definitely related to the leaderess. To Senior, this is the only clue. Dai Donggong withdrew the heavenly Aquarius. This was his son's inheritance. It was extremely important. Although he gave the heavenly Aquarius back, Chen Xiang didn't feel it was a pity. The heavenly Aquarius wasn't of much use to him. You didn't call me here about the heavenly Aquarius, right? Dai Donggong had lived for so long, how could he not see through Chen Xiang's thoughts? The reason why Chen Xiang took out the heavenly Aquarius was to resolve the conflict between him and Dai Donggong. That's right. Chen Xiang laughed. Senior, I helped you find the heavenly Aquarius and even gave you a clue, shouldn't you be grateful to me? Dai Donggong nodded his head. The heavenly Aquarius has a very important meaning to me, I will be grateful to you. Chen Xiang withdrew his smile and spoke in a serious tone. Senior, there must be something hard for you to say in Everlasting Mountain. That's why you were restricted by Danji Ode Institute or the Clan of Elders, and because of that, you can't change Everlasting Mountain, right? Chen Xiang had already seen through it just now. Yes. Dai Donggong admitted it. But from today onwards, they will no longer be able to control me. It is time for me to do what leaders should do. Dai Donggong seemed to have made some painful decision. He was able to control his emotions, but he was still unable to hide the pain on his face. C-2271. C-2271. Although Chen Xiang and Dai Donggong had only chatted for a short while, they had already understood that Dai Donggong and the Danjio Dynasty Toots Elders Hall was not on the same side. Senior, how did they threaten you? Maybe I can help you. Chen Xiang said. No one can help me. For many years, for my own selfish reasons, I have caused Everlasting Mountain to become more and more crooked, and I have disappointed the great hopes that he had placed on me back then. Now that I have decided to give up on certain things, this is the only way to change the Everlasting Mountain. Dai Donggong sighed. Chen Xiang said, Senior, to be honest, the real reason I came to find you was to rope you into the power I created. When Chen Xiang came, he did have such thoughts, but at that time, he did not decide either, so he wanted to see what kind of person the Eternal Leader was first. Dai Donggong never thought that Chen Xiang would actually have such a goal. He really wanted to know why Chen Xiang had such confidence to win him over. Everlasting Mountain's current environment is hopeless. Chen Xiang said, You should know this better than me. No matter what you do next, you will become Everlasting Mountain's enemy. They've already gotten used to being lazy over the years. Suddenly telling them to risk their lives to do something is equivalent to taking their lives. And the strongest power in the Everlasting Mountain is precisely this group of people. If you force them to hunt Special G.O.D. Beast S, they will definitely work together to resist you. That's right. Dai Donggong sighed. But, was the Everlasting Mountain going to end like this? If this goes on, in the future, if there will be a conflict, Everlasting Mountain will definitely die. Even if I know the result, I still have to try. The majority of the inner sect disciples of the Everlasting Mountain could not compare to the outer sect disciples, but the outer sect disciples were always forced to do dangerous things. For many years, the majority of the outer sect disciples could not compare to the outer sect disciples of the Everlasting Mountain, but the outer sect disciples were always forced to do dangerous things. Hearing Dai Donggong's words, Chen Xiang was secretly shocked. This Dai Donggong seemed to know what kind of calamity was going to befall the Star Law Divine Realm. It was as if the Star Law Divine Realm had been peaceful for many years. Chen Xiang laughed coldly. Why would you make the inner disciples of the Everlasting Mountain listen to you? You can give them a G.O. Delay pill? I'm afraid even the outer sect disciples won't listen to you, because you can't bring them any benefit. They were full of yearning to enter the inner sect, so how could they know about all the things that happened and all their dreams? The only reason the outer sect disciples still stayed was to get some divine pellets, and only the Danji, Inst. 1 Toot S were the core of the entire everlasting mountain. As for you, you're just a relatively strong fighter. Dai Donggong frowned, but Chen Xiang had stabbed him right in the heart. Even though he was a leader, he truly did not have much appeal in Everlasting Mountain, and the inner sect disciples did not like him, but he could not improve the treatment of the outer sect disciples. The outer sect disciples could only say that he was a good person, but would absolutely not listen to him. Chen Xiang chuckled. The current accusation of the elders is to protect the Danji, Dynasty Toot and obtain the divine pellets. And if you want to change the everlasting mountain, you must first control the Danji Dynasty Toot, but the Danji Dynasty Toot will definitely not let you succeed. He will let the Elder Hall deal with you, or even join together to fight you. Dai Donggong was speechless. His current situation was extremely awkward. He clenched his fists tightly, and his body kept on trembling. The reason why you became like this is because of your weakness. You were threatened by the Danji Dynasty Toot a long time ago, right? Therefore, you should have made your move earlier, and now that you want to, you realize that the Danji Dynasty Toot is not someone you can go against. You have already missed your chance. Chen Xiang said again. This caused Dai Donggong's face to be filled with pain, because Chen Xiang had hit the mark again. If it were you, what would you do now? Dai Donggong sighed. I'm indeed not suitable to be in charge of a large power, because my heart is not dark enough, not fierce enough, and because I have too many concerns, that's why I'm like this. Chen Xiang said. I am already doing it. I have already gathered over 10 outstanding disciples from the outer sect examination. There are already more than 10 people following me. You should be well aware that I have gained a lot of prestige among the outer sect disciples due to my Ma's Saker in the everlasting mountain. I really failed. I was dug out of a wall, yet I didn't even know about it. Dai Donggong laughed bitterly. Indeed. Because you are indecisive. Even if you have a strong power, what's the use? Chen Xiang said. If you know what's wrong, you can change. You still have time to change your mind. Dai Donggong didn't think that a little ghost would actually lecture him, but he was unable to refute Chen Xiang. Senior, the inner sect of Everlasting Mountain has already decayed. We can only exterminate them. You can start over when the time comes. Chen Xiang said. I just want to know, how in the world are you able to win over so many outer court disciples? This isn't something that can be accomplished with just prestige. Dai Donggong asked. Based on my status as a pill G.O.D., is that enough? Chen Xiang laughed blandly. I gave each of them a few Zhongpin bone level Dan. What reason do you think they have to not follow me and stay in Everlasting Mountain? A pill G.O.D. that could refine bone level Dan, that was enough. Dai Donggong was already a little moved by what Chen Xiang had said. Senior, do you want to join me? Chen Xiang once again extended an invitation. If you also join my side, then go and rope in all of Everlasting Mountain's inner sect disciples and elders, and then let Everlasting Mountain face his own destruction. Dai Donggong hesitated. He was thinking. Senior, now that I know how to refine Taipin bone level Dan, the King grade G.O.D. pellet is not a problem. Even if you do not join us in the future, when you seek me to refine the pellet, I will not refuse. Chen Xiang laughed. Do you really know how to refine king grade and divine pills? Dai Donggong never thought that Chen Xiang, who looked so young, would actually have this kind of ability. Of course. Chen Xiang said. He had previously refined a 3 Lotus Dan. All right, as long as you agree to help me refine a batch of King Grade's divine pellets, I will join you. Dai Donggong actually agreed to it, which was something that Chen Xiang did not expect. So you're saying the reason why Senior was threatened by the Danjiv Dynasty Toot was because of the matter of refining pills? Chen Xiang guessed. Yes. Dai Donggong nodded his head. My daughter has been poisoned and needs 3 lotus dan to cure the poison. She has already been asleep for tens of thousands of years, and I have only been able to find Qingxin's spiritual lotus for a few years. I handed the Qingxin spiritual lotus over to the Danjiu Dynasty Toot and had them take care of it, but they sold the Qingxin spiritual lotus. C 2272. C 2272. Speaking till here, Dai Donggong was extremely agitated and angry. They actually found an excuse to say that they sold the shopping bone level dan because they did not have enough shopping bone level dan. They knew that I was going to change Everlasting Mountain's current situation and that it would affect them when the time comes, so they wanted to show their might to me before selling the Qingxin spiritual lotus. Chen Xiang was secretly happy. At the same time, he understood why Danjiu Dynasty Toot took out Qingxin's spiritual lotus to sell. Danjiu Dynasty Toot definitely did not lack shopping bone level dan, but he still auctioned off this precious Qingxin spiritual lotus, so it was all on purpose. Senior, it seems like you and I are fated to meet. To be honest, I came to Star Law Divine Realm from very far away places just to find the 3 lotus dan's divine medicine and refine it into a 3 lotus dan to cure my beloved wife's poison. Not long ago, I happened to be able to refine a batch of 3 lotus dan, and now, I have already ordered someone to send them back. Chen Xiang said. Dai Donggong immediately became agitated. He grabbed Chen Xiang's shoulder and asked, 3 lotus dan only needs to be refined using a lotus seed. The divine lotus you obtained should also have at least 2 lotus seeds. Chen Xiang nodded his head. That's right, when I return, I will immediately go into seclusion and refine 3 lotus dan for Senior's beloved daughter. Good, good, good. Dai Donggong was extremely excited at the moment. He knew that it was fated for Chen Xiang to bring back his son's remnants, and he would be able to refine the 3 lotus dan to cure his daughter's poison soon. At this moment, he was even more determined to join Chen Xiang and the others. Chen Xiang and Dai Donggong then chatted for a while in detail, gave Dai Donggong his villa's address in Song Cloud City, and even gave him a few bone level dan. This was to allow him to win over outer court disciples for himself. Now, Dai Donggong had already given up on the inner sect disciples. Previously, he was also threatened by the Danjiu Dynasty Toot, which made his heart even colder, and Chen Xiang was able to quickly refine 3 lotus dan for him, even if it was only to thank Chen Xiang. He still wanted to join Chen Xiang. Dai Donggong returned to the Everlasting Mountain, while Chen Xiang returned to Song Cloud City's villa, where he started refining pills in the secret room. When I was at Star Law Divine Realm back then, Dai Donggong still hadn't taken over. So many years have passed, and he has already stepped into the peak. At that time, within the Everlasting Mountain, he was not the strongest, but when the old leader saw his kind heart, she said down the position of the leader to him. Yuer said, with him joining us, our side's strength will also be much greater. This way we won't need to fear the other heavenly star realm's forces. The other heavyweights of the other heavenly stars are all of the older generation. Chen Xiang asked. It should be, otherwise they wouldn't kill all of undead divine race to extend their lifespan. Yuer coldly snorted and said, those guys actually want to make a move against all the G.O.D. tribes. They will get their retribution sooner or later. Then where did Everlasting Mountain's old leader go? I don't know, it's worth it for Dai Donggong. Everlasting Mountain's old leader is also not a bad person. Yuer sighed. It's a pity that after he left, the Everlasting Mountain turned into such a bird. Chen Xiang took out 3 lotus seeds and began to refine a 3-lotus dan. Dai Donggong's current weakness was his daughter, who had already been asleep for many years. With his previous experience, he refined 3 lotus dan much faster this time, and it was done in more than a month. When he walked out of the secret room, he had already found out that Huang Jintian had received over 10 outer court disciples from the everlasting mountainess, and the 10 people who had went into seclusion previously had already come out by now. They had all successfully condensed their bones. More than 20 powerful outer court disciples had already gathered in this villa. After Chen Xiang saw these disciples, he chatted with them for a while and gave each of them a few Zhongpin bone level dans. Hua Lang, help me arrange something. Send a message to the Eternal Leader and have him meet at the same place. Chen Xiang said. At that time, Hua Lang had already won them over, and they did not believe it at all. Only after Dai Donggong had over 10 outer sect disciples come over, did they dare believe it to be true. Hua Lang hurriedly nodded, then left the villa. Feng Hao insists you stole Feng Clan's Bishing Immortal Lotus, and for some reason, the other elders of Feng Clan believed it. Right now, Feng Clan is looking for you everywhere. Feng Wu said. Earlier, you told me to warn Feng Hao. Not only did he not listen, he even continued to spread the news of you selling a large number of divine pellets privately. Yes, we don't need to bother with the Feng Clan right now. We will take care of them when we are ready. Chen Xiang said. Feng Clan is just a small fry, don't worry about it. Feng Wu, if you have time, help me find a place. It would be best to stay in the wild, where there are mountains and water, a beautiful place, a place that is large enough, and there are no special G.O.D. beasts. All right. Feng Wu did not know why Chen Xiang wanted to come, but it sounded like a place used to build villas. When Chen Xiang arrived at the place where he met Dai Donggong last time, Chen Xiang immediately took out 2 3-lotus dans and handed them over to him. There are 2 of them. If one is not enough, take another. Chen Xiang said. All these years, I've only been able to find Qingxin's spiritual lotus, and you found 3 types of divine lotuses so quickly. Dai Donggong exclaimed. Looks like your alchemy skills are even more outstanding than what I imagined. You only managed to concoct a batch of king-grade divine pellets in a month's time, and you only produced 2 pellets, which is much more powerful than those fellows in Danji, O Dynasty Toot. Chen Xiang only smiled faintly. Senior, you should be a bit careful within the everlasting mountain. If you remove the poison from your daughter, and you don't trust her to stay in the everlasting mountain, you can let her come to my villa. I can guarantee her safety. All right. Dai Donggong. I will also leave the everlasting mountain and enter the villa in a while. Afterwards, I will be at your command. Dai Donggong was very grateful to Chen Xiang. These 2 3-lotus dans were both very precious. If he was going to use shopping bone-level dans to exchange for them, then he would need a lot more, and all these years looking for 3 types of divine lotuses, he had been bankrupt, so right now he was also short on money. Dai Donggong obtained the 3-lotus dan and quickly left. He wanted to cure his daughter's poison. He was his only family. Chen Xiang had become a lot more relaxed now, and he did not have many Zhongpin bone-level dan left either. He had been hoping for Ting Yong and Jing Zhe to return quickly so that he could have divine medicine and not have to replicate it himself. Yuer, has the bone-level fruit been copied yet? First, I'll make one, then I'll use it to try forging a pill. Chen Xiang asked. Not yet. You need to condense more purple pearls, and with the help of spirit seed, you will be able to condense more purple pearls very quickly. I wonder what grade of divine medicine that bone-level fruit is at. Yuer replied, although it looks like a king grade, it requires many purple pearls to duplicate it, even more than those divine lotuses. C-2273. C-2273 Chen Xiang could only wait for Ting Yong and Jing Zhe to return, then try to refine the bone-level dan. At that time, they would definitely be able to bring back a large amount of divine medicines. They would have over 100 Shangpin bone-level danes on their hands, and after being sold, they would be able to obtain a large number of Shin Yuan stones. Big brother. Just as Chun Xiang was about to enter the secret room to condense purple pearls, he heard someone shouting. Huang Jintian anxiously jumped out, only to see him support a big man whose body was full of scars. It's Li Qi. One of the disciples inside the villa said. Big brother, he has a good relations. Hi+P with Hualang, and he had wanted to join us since a long time ago, but in order for the inner court to help Hualang, that's why he didn't come to the villa. It's serious. Chun Xiang anxiously took out a divine pill and placed it in Li Qi's mouth. Then, he took out a jade bottle and dripped some white liquid onto the wounds on his body. Li Qi had fainted when he entered the room. After taking Chun Xiang's divine pellet, he quickly woke up, and the wounds on his body had healed by a lot. Slow down. Chun Xiang smiled at Li Qi. Who hurt you? Yes. In the clan elder's courtyard, they found Hualang and us. Since leader wasn't on the mountain, they attacked us and captured Hualang. Li Qi said angrily, these BASTARDS of the Elders' Hall, they actually forbid us to leave. Fortunately, we have already sent a letter to all the outer disciples. If they believe us, they would be here very soon. Hualang was captured and brought back to the Everlasting Mountain? This was what Chun Xiang was most concerned about right now. His expression became very serious. I don't know. The ones who did it weren't people from the Elder's courtyard, nor were they inner court disciples. We don't recognize that group of people, but their strengths are very strong. Li Qi said, we only know that they were sent by the Elder's Hall. Moreover, they have some enmity with you, big brother. Chun Xiang thought for a moment, then immediately understood. I know who it is. Great Heaven School. Great Heaven School often did things like stealing chickens and dogs, and there was nothing wrong with it. This was definitely under the protection of the Dango, Dynasty Tut, and the Elders' Hall. The death of Dai Donggong's son was related to the Great Heaven School. If not, the Heavenly Aquarius would not be in the Great Heaven School, and if the Elders' Courtyard could call for the Great Heaven School to make a move, then it meant that they were secretly plotting something. Chun Xiang suspected that the Elders' Courtyard and the Dango Dynasty Tut were the ones who had ordered to kill Dai Donggong. Master, you stay here to receive the disciples that have come over. I will make a trip to Great Heaven School. Chun Xiang said. Big brother, we'll go too. One of them shouted, and the other 20-odd people also started shouting. They wanted to follow Chun Xiang to the Great Heaven School to save Hualang. No need, you all stay here. Right now, I am not completely sure that Hualang is in Great Heaven School, so it would be more convenient for me to travel alone. And you guys also have things to do here. If there are other outer sect disciples here, you guys have to receive them and convince them to stay here. With Huang Jintian here, Chun Xiang did not need to worry. When Dai Donggong got the 3 lotus dan, he immediately went to treat his daughter's poison. For a moment, he did not know what would happen, so he could only take care of it himself. Chun Xiang came to the city where the Great Heaven School was, and after he came, he went straight to the villa where the Great Heaven School was. At this time, the lights and decorations were on outside the big door of the Great Heaven School. Outside the door stood a few handsome youths, smiling as they welcomed the people who had walked in. Congratulations, today is the day of the alliance between Great Heaven School and myself, and it's 100,000 years worth of celebration on top of that. An old man laughed as he came to the door. Thank you for coming to support us. Please come in. A man outside the door smiled apologetically. Chun Xiang felt that he guessed right. Although the Great Heaven School and the Great Heaven School were in an alliance, it was equivalent to becoming a subsidiary power of the Everlasting Mountain, and it would be more convenient to mobilize the Everlasting Mountain in the future. No matter who it was, As long as one wore a decent attire, they would be able to enter. Chen Xiang changed his appearance to make himself look very obli, then swaggered in. After Chen Xiang entered, he immediately released more than 100 threads of divine soul, searching for traces of Hualang. At this time, the Great Heaven School was in high spirits, full of cheers and laughter. Found it. Chen Xiang's thread of divine soul sensed a trace of Hualang's aura, which was located rather far away from the Great Heaven School's plaza at the center. This was Great Heaven School's territory, and the Great Heaven School had just allied with the Everlasting Mountain, so there were many experts from Everlasting Mountain here today. As such, the Great Heaven School was not afraid of anyone coming to cause trouble, and so their guard was relatively loose. They still hoped that someone would cause a ruckus and teach those who had come to make a lesson. After all, Great Heaven School's previous reputation was not very good. Chen Xiang easily arrived at the back of the mountain. There was a dungeon here. He determined Hualang's location, and then immediately teleported there. Hualang was locked in a secret room with 4 walls of array barriers. The short was up all over. His hair was messy, and the face that had been laughing and laughing all day was swollen and purple, but his eyes were still very clever. When he saw Chen Xiang suddenly appear in front of him, he was so shocked that his eyes almost fell out. Big brother! Hualang never thought that Chen Xiang would come after he was locked in here for only a short while. Kid, you're quite spirited. Chen Xiang patted his head and laughed. My life is tough, I won't die. Hualang laughed mischievously. Looks like Li Qi successfully escaped. I was worried that he would die on the way. He didn't die, but he was heavily injured. Chen Xiang looked at the dy green chain in Hualang's hands and tried to pull it apart, but to no avail. This chain is too powerful. Is it a high-grade divine tool, refined by the leader? Back then, leader refined many things for the sake of the Dango, Dnsti and the Elders' Hall. Hualang said, It's not easy to open it. Who said that? Chen Xiang took out the heavenly magic sword. He controlled the heavenly magic sword to become as big as a dagger and gently cut across. It was as simple as cutting a rope. So powerful. Hualang's eyes widened. Slicing a high-grade divine tool is like cutting vegetables. Big brother, your broken sword is too awesome. Chen Xiang took out some medicinal liquid and divine pellets, allowing Hualang to take them to make a breakthrough. How did they find out? Chen Xiang felt that it was extremely strange. Did someone betray you? Yes, there's a guy who went in through the outer sect examination, but he has a thick skin. As long as he sees an inner sect disciple, whoever he sees would kneel, and his kneeling posture and methods are first-rate. So he is deeply liked by the inner sect disciples. This fellow was the one who found out about us. Hualang said, It's all our fault for being careless. I never thought that this guy would actually please some outer sect disciples, so he knows quite a few things. See 2274. See 2274. Although Chen Xiang didn't expect such a thing to happen, sometimes things would inevitably go wrong with the plan. Right now, the matter of him secretly trying to rope in the inner disciples of the Everlasting Mountain had already been discovered by the Dango Dynasty and the Elders. Baidu search for T. I Tli plus 800 tail net. Chen Xiang felt that there was a high possibility that the next person would be the Feng clan, because the Feng clan hated him very much as well. Now that the Everlasting Mountain had started the alliance with the Great Heaven School, if they could give the Great Heaven School a lot of benefits, then the other powers would be happy too. There is nothing good about allying with the Everlasting Mountain. Of course, this is only for the low disciples of the other powers. As long as you form an alliance with the Everlasting Mountain, those people will be the same as the outer disciples of the Everlasting Mountain. Said. Everlasting Mountain allying with other small and middle-sized forces, this posed no threat to him. Thank goodness they did not know that the leader was already with you. Even if they did, it would be nothing. They can't do anything to the leader. Hualang said. Then do they know that I possess a large number of bone-level Dan? Chen Xiang asked. I know, and they are very sure that the person who bought the Qingxin spiritual lotus was you, Big Brother. Who knows where they got the bone-level Dan that Big Brother refined from? It was determined through comparison. Hualang could hear a lot of news within the inner sect, and he could even hear some of the more secretive things. Ah Lang, I will send you out of the city right now. You should know how to get back, right? Chen Xiang said as he saw Hualang's injuries turning better. Big Brother, are you going to continue staying here and ruin their good fortune? Hualang smirked. I also want to stay and watch. No, you should go back first. Your injuries haven't completely healed yet. Chen Xiang shook his head. Now they already know that I am able to refine a large number of bone-level Dan, which can endanger their position and interests. They will definitely hate me for sure next. Hualang nodded. His power was limited. If they were to fight, he would not even be able to run. Using the power of SPAC, Chen Xiang carefully opened a spatial tunnel and sent Hualang away from the Great Heaven School. They did not know that Hualang had already left. At this moment, they were celebrating to their heart's content. Chen Xiang felt it was funny. Great Heaven School was so happy now. He completely didn't know that Everlasting Mountain and the Elder's Courtyard had allied themselves with the Great Heaven School in order to find new slaves. The disciples at the bottom level of Great Heaven School had thought that fawning on the Everlasting Mountain was a good thing, so they had followed to celebrate. The only thing that would benefit from this would probably be the higher-ups of the Everlasting Mountain, and they had worked for the Everlasting Mountain for a long time, so now they could only join the Everlasting Mountain in name only, and sell out all the disciples at the same time. When Chen Xiang arrived at the plaza at the center of the plaza, he had already heard someone say that they would celebrate for a few days and nights. The amount of banquets here grew more and more, and the entire plaza was enveloped in the thick aroma of wine and joyous sounds. Suddenly, the people in the center of the plaza all stood up and moved the tables away, creating a huge SPAC. An old man walked over and waved his hand to release a seemingly strong and STURDY contest ring, and then a few other old people came, took out many array discs and laid down a barrier. An old man walked onto the stage and said loudly, I am the clan elder of Everlasting Mountain. I have matters to attend to and have not come to leader yet, so I am in charge of forming the alliance between Everlasting Mountain and Great Heaven School. Thank you so much for coming here, so we decided on the spur of the moment to add another show to our fun. Our Everlasting Mountain and Great Heaven School will each choose a disciple. First, the disciples of the Great Heaven School will guard the stage. After defeating the disciples of Great Heaven School, will be the time for the disciples of my Everlasting Mountain to come on stage, and if the disciples of my Everlasting Mountain are to be defeated, then they will be able to obtain the Shangpin Bone Level Dan. If they won, they would be able to obtain Zhongpin Bone Level Dan, and they might even be able to obtain Shangpin Bone Level Dan. Many of the old fellows had already decided to go up on stage and try their luck. The old man saw the excited look on everyone's faces and laughed. I see that everyone is very interested in this. There will be a lot of people attending, and it will be difficult to arrange for them to come over. How about this? Let's have our disciples hold a secret made box, and as long as we can grab the black pearl from the box, we will be able to go up on stage and challenge our defending disciples. Chen Xiang looked around, and sure enough, there were 100 disciples carrying boxes and walking amongst the crowd, and many people were trying to reach into the boxes to grab the pearls. When it was Chen Xiang's turn to use the Dao-Hard Eye, he easily saw the black pearl and grabbed it out. After observing it carefully, he discovered that out of the beads, there was only one black pearl out of the 100, and there were several thousand people present who partook. 1. P. aided, but in the end, only a few dozen people obtained the black pearl. Although there were many people who complained that they did not have a chance, they understood that if a few thousand people took turns to challenge the gavel, those on the stage would definitely be exhausted to death. And if several dozen people took turns to challenge, that made sense. Friends who have received the Black Pearl, please line up here to register. When Chen Xiang heard the elder's voice, he immediately stood up and walked over. Not long after he left, he was stopped by someone. It was a fierce and big man. "Brat, give the Black Pearl in your hand to me, I'll give you 100,000 Shin yuan stone." When the big rough hand pressed onto Chen Xiang's shoulder, it actually grabbed onto Chen Xiang's shoulder. Humph! Chen Xiang snorted. He used the hail magic wind, and used a burst of cold chi from his shoulder and poured it into the big-sized man's hand. When he wanted to curse Chen Xiang, he couldn't make a sound because his entire body was being infiltrated by the hail magic wind, causing him to retreat a few steps, and then sit down on his own chair. This burly man only had 70 divine deity. A single palm from Chen Xiang could kill him, yet he dared to threaten Chen Xiang. And Chen Xiang had also taught him a painful lesson. When Chen Xiang arrived at the registration place, he discovered that he was the last one there. He secretly cursed the burly man earlier in his heart. If it wasn't for the burly man blocking him for that little bit of time, he definitely wouldn't have been there. "What's your name?" An old man looked at the Black Pearl that Chen Xiang had given him, and after confirming that it was real, he asked. "Qi Tian." Chen Xiang made up a fake name. "Alright, you are the 53rd and last place, respectively. Young man, you're not smart enough, or you wouldn't be so far behind the line. But you don't need to worry too much. Perhaps after they exhaust all of their disciples' power, it just so happens that it's your turn." The old man laughed and gave the Black Pearl back to Chen Xiang. C. 2275. C. 2275. Chen Xiang had just finished registering and someone was already challenging the disciples of Great Heaven School. An old man had introduced this disciple named Huiyang, who was an expert in the use of the divine power of ice and lightning. He was the youngest and most outstanding disciple of the Great Heaven School and was quite handsome. The old man had even told everyone that Huiyang possessed 90% of divine deity, but he didn't say how much of it he possessed. 93 divine deity, 4 bones. This kind of strength, for the more than 50 guys in front of me, you have no chance of winning at all. Chen Xiang thought, and at the same time told you where. He had the Tao heart eye, so if he focused his mind to observe, he could vaguely see the bones of other people's bodies, but divine sense sees divine deity was something that could be seen by using the bones in his eyes. And sure enough, the first person to go up only had 80% of his divine deity left. He was sent flying by a single palm from Huiyang, and he vomited blood as he flew. Huiyang's attacks were not light. The elders of the Everlasting Mountain had said before that it was extremely likely for one of them to be severely injured, or even killed, during the battle. Seeing that the people on the ground were dying and there were more than 50 people in the line, more than 30 of them immediately left the line. They thought that the people fighting today would show mercy and they themselves would be able to compete with their luck, but who knew that this wouldn't give them the chance to fight? They knew very well that they didn't even have the chance to put their lives on the line, so they all consciously withdrew. Those who continued to queue up had confidence in themselves. Even if they couldn't beat him, they wouldn't be seriously injured. The second challenger went up on stage. He was an old man, and after he started, he released a raging flame that engulfed the entire contest ring, and he too disappeared within the sea of fire. He has some skill, to actually be able to merge himself into the fire. This looks like he's using the S.P.A.C. wind. I just want to merge my own body into the S.P.A.C. wind and move with the wind. Chen Xiang said. It looks like this person has studied many ways to use fire. It seems like he's quite formidable. Yu'er said. Huiyang bellowed both his fists. H.I. ting the ground, causing the ground to shake. when his fists touched the stage, a burst of cold chi accompanied by a burst of berserk power rushed out, in the blink of an eye enveloping the entire stage. The flames suddenly extinguished. The old man who had merged with the flames had no choice but to appear, but the moment he appeared, he was sealed by ice. Following that, Huiyang took a big stride forward and punched the old man sealed in ice with his fist. Instantly, thunder roared and his fist was like a blood-lightning bolt in the darkness, penetrating straight through the old man who had been frozen into an ice cube. Boom! The block of ice instantly shattered into ice. The old man also turned into ice and scattered. Under the rays of the hot sun, the ice quickly melted. Everyone secretly frowned. This person had come to congratulate them, but had actually killed them with a single punch. Furthermore, today was a joyous occasion for both Everlasting Mountain and Great Heaven School. This is the Great Heaven School demonstrating, telling others that they want to take advantage of them. Chen Xiang sneered in his heart. Seeing that the Great Heaven School was not merciful at all, more than 10 people left, and there were less than 10 people in front of Chen Xiang. In the eyes of these people, those who still dared to queue up and go up were all suicidal. Boom! There was a clap of thunder, and an old man was knocked off the stage. The old man was not heavily injured, and when he landed, he was able to stand still, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. Those who dared to stay behind, sure enough, all had some ability. Although they couldn't win, they were not dead yet, and the strongest actually exchanged more than 10 moves with Huiyang, which made everyone admire him. Not long after, there was no one in front of Chen Xiang, which meant that it was his turn to go up on stage. Everyone, if you all were to join the Great Heaven School, you would also become as strong as the disciples on our stage. And the Great Heaven School has a PA-S Sageway that can lead to the intersect examination. The elder from Everlasting Mountain suddenly shouted, "All of you need to know, disciples who enter my Everlasting Mountain's intersect will be groomed by us to become this powerful in a short amount of time. This disciple named Huiyang is like that. He previously couldn't even kill a special G.O.D. beast with 60 divine deity." Chen Xiang cursed the elder's shamelessness in his heart, to actually say such words to trick people into entering the inner sect. The Compet 1 tie-in in the inner sect of our Everlasting Mountain is very cruel. Everyone should have heard a lot of rumors. But where was there no Compet 1 tie-in? How could he become strong without Compet 1 tie-in? Could it be that eating lazily could make one stronger? The losers in the inner sect resent the heavens and the earth, so they spread rumors about the poor environment in the inner sect of Everlasting Mountain. Please do not listen to them. The elder said loudly. Chen Xiang found it extremely funny, because the inner disciples of the Everlasting Mountain were lazy to eat and become stronger, and in order to continue, they would continue to lure more people into the inner sect, and become their slaves. This guy is still talking nonsense. It's my turn, UBASTARD. Chen Xiang had not been called up to the stage yet because the elder of the Everlasting Mountain was taking the opportunity to brag about Huiyang's terrifying strength. The elder had also said that Huiyang had only cultivated in the inner sect of the Everlasting Mountain for 3 years. Chen Xiang looked at the crowd, and saw that many of them were looking forward to it, and were deceived by the elder's words. After the elder finished persuading, he walked off the stage, and when he said by Chen Xiang, he laughed. "I'm so sorry, I thought you were planning to quit. You look so young and you really have the gut. If you had entered the inner sect of Everlasting Mountain to study for a few years, you would definitely have made great achievement." Previously, the ones in front of Chen Xiang were all elderly, so everyone thought that Chen Xiang, this young man, would definitely not be as strong as those old men, but now, he actually dared to run up, and felt that he would most likely die. Chen Xiang nodded, but he still walked up the stage. Huiyang seemed to be impatient. He saw that Chen Xiang had overestimated himself and ran over and said, You have guts, but this is also the last time in your life that you have balls. From the start I am going to use my strongest power to fight you. He was the last one. Moreover, he looked so weak, yet still dared to run over. This kind of person who didn't know his own limits disgusted Huiyang. Qin Xiang laughed. I'm so scared you don't have to attack, you nearly scared me to death. If you say any more scary words, I might be so scared that I'll vomit blood and fly away. Everyone never expected that Qin Xiang would actually dare to say such provocative words. When they saw Huiyang's sudden outburst of anger, everyone saw what happened to Qin Xiang. He was enraged by Qin Xiang's words. The people who trained in the Thunder God's power were extremely irritable to begin with, and would easily be angered by a few words from others. C 2276. C 2276. This guy is worried that he will die too quickly, which is why he angered Huiyang and allowed Huiyang to torture him to death little by little? One of them laughed. Is this person crazy? No, Huiyang is so angry now. He must have been taken care of in an instant. That might not be true. Although Huiyang is arrogant, if he is able to control himself against such a person, he will definitely torture him to death. Everyone felt that Qin Xiang was definitely going to die, but there was only one person who didn't think the same, and that person was the burly man who stopped Qin Xiang previously. He was trembling from head to toe. He simply did not know what Qin Xiang had done to him to turn him into such a state. Begin! An old man shouted. His voice was filled with antic. 1. He wanted to see how Qin Xiang died. Useless bugs, go to Hell. Huiyang held back his fury and the berserk thunder power, and after it started, it punched out like lightning towards Qin Xiang's head. You're the useless bug. Qin Xiang actually laughed. He also punched out. His speed was extremely fast. Even people with good eyesight could see that Qin Xiang's punch was actually faster than Huiyang's. However, Qin Xiang's fist did not carry any kind of frightening power, and appeared to only be an ordinary punch. What was shocking, however, was that Qin Xiang's fist actually struck towards Huiyang's violent lightning fist. The two fists collided, but it was not as everyone had expected. They had thought that it would be deafening thunderclaps, and then Qin Xiang's arm would be torn apart by the berserking thunder power. However, what happened now was far beyond everyone's expectations, and they couldn't believe it. After the two fists clashed, it was unexpectedly calm, as if two fists had lightly bumped into each other without the slightest fluctuation of power. However, Huiyang was sweating profusely and his face was filled with fear. He could clearly feel that his powerful Thunder God powers had disappeared without a trace after coming into contact with Qin Xiang's fist, like a stone sinking into the ocean. Moreover, Qin Xiang's fist also surged with a strange power that poured into his arm. Huiyang screamed in shock, and retreated a few steps, touching his own arm, because his arm was itchy right now. My bones, where is your bones? Huiyang was extremely shocked. All the bones in his arm were gone, and the bones was hidden within the bones. Just now, Qin Xiang had used the bone-melting magic palm, so the devil arts that Bai Yu had imparted to him were still extremely powerful. It didn't matter if Huiyang's arm was crippled, but the bones that he painstakingly condensed out was gone, and this was a huge blow to him. The few elders at the side had already seen that Qin Xiang's strength was extraordinary, and thinking back to the provocative words he had said previously, they knew that Qin Xiang had deliberately come to cause trouble. Just one move was enough to scare Huiyang into a dog, causing everyone to be dumbstruck, and all the elders were aware that there was a difference in strength between Huiyang and them. Just as the elders reacted, Qin Xiang jumped up. His palms were filled with lightning and fire. The berserk thunder power was much stronger than Huiyang's palm strike. Qin Xiang's palm materialized into a palm that was like condensed bolts of lightning SMAs. Ing down fiercely, enveloping Huiyang. Huiyang screamed. Everyone watching the scene on the stage felt their scalps go numb, as Huiyang's body was actually ripped into pieces by the violent thunder power. Boom! Chen Xiang waved his sleeves, releasing a fierce gale filled with raging flames that swept towards Huiyang's torn body, burning the shattered pieces to ashes. Huiyang is dead. Those who were severely injured by Huiyang felt that this retribution arrived a little too quickly, and rejoiced in their hearts. At least they were still alive, but Huiyang was already dead. I have already defeated Huiyang. Where is my Zhongping Bone Level Dan? Chen Xiang smiled towards an elder. Everyone immediately cheered in their hearts. This was such a big joke. Originally, the Everlasting Mountain and the Great Heaven School had allied together to create this combat arena program, and it was meant to make the Great Heaven School and the Everlasting Mountain show their might. What Chen Xiang was doing now was to brazenly slap Everlasting Mountain's and Great Heaven School's face. There were many people present, over 10,000 of them. Although most of them were rogue cultivators, there were also representatives from other forces. If the Great Heaven School and the Everlasting Mountain did not give the Bone Level Dan to Chen Xiang, then it would be breaking their promise. This was a matter that would ruin their reputation, and even though they were absolutely unwilling, they still gave Chen Xiang a Zhongping Bone Level Dan. Now, I can challenge that Everlasting Mountain disciple, right? Zhongping Bone Level Dan is not of much use to me. I am here for the Shangping Bone Level Dan. Chen Xiang said while laughing. No matter how you looked at it, you would feel that he was here to create trouble, not for the Shangping Bone Level Dan. No need to be anxious. You should rest first. We have already sent someone to notify that disciple. He will be here very soon. His face was gloomy, his voice low and deep, looking very terrifying. Everyone could see that he was angry, but due to face, he was unable to kill Chen Xiang with a palm. Chen Xiang actually hoped that he would attack her, so that she could kill him justifiably. Why aren't you here yet? Chen Xiang sat on the fighting stage, feeling impatient. That's because our strongest disciple is still in closed-door training, and only our Everlasting Mountain's #1 successor disciple is fit to fight you. Calm down, it's too late for you to leave. The old man smiled sinisterly. The #1 true disciple in the Everlasting Mountain. One could tell that it was very powerful. This guy's done for. The first successor disciple is a guy from the 100 GODS level. He possesses quite a few bones. Not necessarily, he did not use his full strength just now. Maybe he is also from the 100 GODS level. What is the background of this Chi Tian fellow? Everlasting Mountain is the strongest power in the W.A.N.G. Ancient Heavenly Star. He definitely knows about it. But to provoke it, could it be that the other Heavenly Star sect are here to ruin it? Everyone began guessing. Chen Xiang sat on the stage, and realized that there were over 10 elders surrounding the stage, afraid that he would run away. He guessed that the Everlasting Mountain wanted the #1 true disciple to kill him, save face, and vent out his anger at the same time. The bored Chen Xiang took out the Zhongping Bone Level Dan he received as a reward. He sniffed and frowned. Isn't the quality of this Zhongping Bone Level Dan too terrible? As he spoke, Chen Xiang threw the divine pellet outwards. I don't want this kind of trash, whoever wants it will have it. For a dignified Everlasting Mountain to be known as the strongest in terms of pill refinement, he actually used this kind of trash to fool people. The Zhongping Bone Level Dan could be lost at any time, even if it was of low quality, it was still very expensive. C-2277. C-2277, the Zhongping Bone Level Dan, that the elder of the Everlasting Mountain had just given to Chen Xiang, was indeed of a lower quality. Seeing Chen Xiang throw away the Bone Level Dan, everyone secretly cursed him in their hearts. The Bone Level Dan that Chen Xiang threw away was caught by a big-sized man. He nodded. The quality is indeed not good. We never said what kind of Bone Level Dan we would reward, right? was a disciple with great potential and could be killed by Qin Xiang just like that. This was a huge loss to both the Great Heaven School and the Elder. That's right, you didn't say what quality you wanted to give, so you couldn't say anything. I just felt very surprised that the alchemy god of your everlasting mountain could actually refine such a low-quality bone-level Dan. Qin Xiang laughed. This is a bit different from the propaganda your everlasting mountain has. Just now, this clan elder was bragging about how impressive the everlasting mountain was, but now that Qin Xiang was going to expose them, he was going to show everyone what kind of power the everlasting mountain was. The elder no longer paid any attention to Qin Xiang. Instead, he closed his eyes and endured the anger in his heart, waiting for the arrival of the first true disciple of the everlasting mountain. Just then, an old man flew over from afar and landed beside the stage, right beside the everlasting mountain elder. It's the leader of the Great Heaven School, Mingguang. Qin Xiang had heard Feng Wu talk about the Great Heaven School before, so he recognized the old man. Was it you who killed Huiyang? Mingguang's voice was filled with anger as he asked in a low voice. Huiyang was a young and capable disciple of his Great Heaven School. Even the dead Yu Zhen was weaker than him, but now, he had actually been killed by someone. That's right. Qin Xiang nodded his head. His voice was calm, as though killing Huiyang was not a big deal. It made Mingguang even angrier. He wanted to rush forward to take care of Qin Xiang, but he controlled his emotions. He was clear about the situation, and Huiyang had also killed people before. If Huiyang did not kill before, Qin Xiang would have been lenient, and the Great Heaven School and Everlasting Mountain that were in charge of organizing this compet. 1. Tian thought that Huiyang was very strong, so they did not set any rules. To be able to kill the other party was just reaping what they had reaped. Many of them were representatives sent by the big powers, so if Mingguang were to run up and attack Qin Xiang, they would definitely laugh at him. Qin Xiang smiled blandly. If the number one true disciple of Everlasting Mountain doesn't come, I don't mind sparring with him. This way, everyone can see how strong he is. If I win, just give me a Zhongping bone-level Dan. If he could defeat Great Heaven School, he only needed one Zhongping bone-level Dan. This was equivalent to looking down on Mingguang, which angered Mingguang to the extreme. He really wanted to go up there. Bright light, wait. The clan elder of the Everlasting Mountain shouted. Don't go up, the number one true disciple of our Everlasting Mountain can take care of him. If you go up and beat him, how will the true disciples of our Everlasting Mountain perform? All right. Mingguang calmed himself down and thought. He was a dignified leader. If he were to make a move here, it would definitely lower his status. Why do I feel that the leader is weaker than the true disciples of the Everlasting Mountain? Qin Xiang chuckled. If I defeat Everlasting Mountain's successor disciple, then can I challenge leader? You won't win. The first successor disciple of our Everlasting Mountain isn't just for show. The elder said coldly, you should still recall the good times before you die. You will die very soon. Qin Xiang's goal was to turn the world upside down here, and destroy the matter of the Everlasting Mountain allying with him, so the more he could do it, the bigger it would become. You should have told your successor disciples not to come here. Since he came here, there's only death waiting for them. I won't let you leave here alive. Qin Xiang laughed. To kill a Everlasting Mountain's successor disciple only has one Zhongping bone-level Dan. This is also quite profitable. If only every single one of the Everlasting Mountain's successor disciples were killed, then all that would be left would be the bone-level Dan as well. Before I die, if I say a few more words that are courting death, it will only make my death worse. The elder glared at Qin Xiang coldly, but Qin Xiang was smiling, not afraid of him at all. Everyone was maintaining a distance from the stage at this moment. They were worried that they would be affected by the huge battle that was about to erupt, and the scene of Qin Xiang killing Huiyang just now was still clearly played back in their minds. Everyone could see that Qin Xiang was very strong, and he did not even use all his strength to kill him. Chen Xiang had a fairly good understanding of the Everlasting Mountain. Right now there are no Leader S in the Everlasting Mountain S, they have already been dug out by him, and although there are experts at the peak of the Dan Geo de Ketut S and Clan of Elders, without the Leader S, their strength is still at the bottom among the superpowers of the Star Law Divine Realm S. He's here. Someone suddenly shouted. In a few blinks of an eye, this golden light landed on the stage and exploded with a golden light. A handsome man wearing a white robe appeared on the stage. Chen Xiang immediately used the Dao Heart Eye to look at the other party's bones. The 100 GODS level and the 6 bones were very close to the peak. No wonder he was called the number 1 true disciple of the Everlasting Mountain. However, Chen Xiang felt no pressure at all. He had 14 bones, and adding the 6 realms power that he had condensed from the 6 realms magic kung fu, he was much stronger than other people's divine powers. This is the famous Golden Light G.O.D. King of Everlasting Mountain. He's really powerful. I don't even know how he got here, and the golden light he was emitting was very hot. When I was hit by this kind of golden light, the divine sense C became very unstable. The golden divine light is his most powerful technique. It's said that the golden divine flame he uses is even more terrifying, since he's a disciple from the Dan G.O.D. Toot who can concoct pills and fight. He himself is a pill G.O.D. and possesses a powerful body. This Everlasting Mountain's number 1 inner disciple does indeed live up to his name. Chen Xiang heard the discussions of the crowd, and understood the so-called number 1 true disciple in the Everlasting Mountain. His name was Jin Xiongyao. His father was an elder who was strong in the Dan Geo dynasty Tut, thus he was able to refine pills since young. It is said that he has another name, the Evil Heaven Pill G.O.D. He has taught himself a very evil art of alchemy, using living people as support materials. It is said that he will sometimes use a lot of people's hearts. This was especially true for the pure hearts of a boy and a girl. He loved to use them. In the Dan G.O.D. Tut, there is a group of people who are in charge of collecting this kind of material. C-2278. C-2278. Isn't it too vicious for him to use this method? What about the rules of the Star Law Divine Realm? Those rules are useless against him. After all, no one could say where those hearts came from. There are so many stars in the Star Law Divine Realm, anyone could easily find a pile of stars. No one would care if those weak mortals were killed. Chen Xiang heard someone discussing about this matter again. He had actually never heard of it before. Now, many people were talking about it in whispers. It seemed that most of the people near the Everlasting Mountain knew about this matter, but not long after, many people had a very bad impression of Jin Xiongyao. Xiongyao, kill him. His corpse is yours to dispose of, the elder said. When Jin Xiongyao saw Chen Xiang, his eyes also lit up. He seemed to have used some sort of secret technique, allowing him to see that Chen Xiang's body was extremely strong. You are not fit to be an alchemist, Chen Xiang said coldly. Whether you are worthy or not, it doesn't matter what you say. Moreover, you are already a dead person. Being used by me as a material to refine pills is a blessing that you won't be able to cultivate even in 8 lifetimes. Dying by my hands can be considered your luck. Jin Xiongyao laughed coldly. Your physical body is not bad, no wonder you could easily kill Huiyang. The clan elder of the Everlasting Mountain suddenly shouted, Begin! Chen Xiang was originally planning to say a few words, but Jin Xiongyao had already turned into a golden light and flew over. From afar, his body looked like a golden sword, fiercely thrusting towards Chen Xiang's throat. Humph! Chen Xiang did not avoid them. Instead, he extended his hand and used 2 fingers to poke at them. These 2 fingers of his carried a terrifying heat. Jin Xiongyao was very clear about flames. At this moment he felt a sudden anger coming from ahead. He was about to get close to Chen Xiang, but he stopped in time, and in a flash, he arrived at the side of the fighting arena. He was shocked. He could not imagine what would happen if he was poked by the two fingers. With regards to the fear of the flames, Jin Xiongyao could not hide it at all. His face was filled with fear, which made everyone puzzled, because they only saw Chen Xiang jabbing his finger 2 times without doing anything, which scared Jin Xiongyao to the point of forcing him to retreat. Even the elders and leaders of the Everlasting Mountain found it hard to understand. This was because none of them had sensed just how terrifying the flames Chen Xiang's fingertips were. Only Jin Xiongyao could clearly feel that the coercion that was released by the flames was causing the flames in his body to tremble, as if he was seeing the emperor within the flames. How did you manage to cultivate such a flame? Jin Xiongyao looked at the motionless Chen Xiang in the distance and roared loudly. This fear was something only he himself knew. It came from the fear in his soul. When Jin Xiongyao saw Chen Xiang standing there in a daze, he felt strange in his heart. That kind of flame that made his soul tremble suddenly appeared again, and right in his vicinity. Chen Xiang had actually come to his back. You're dead! Chen Xiang's finger lightly tapped at the back of Jin Xiongyao's head, and Jin Xiongyao felt as if everything in his divine sense was ignited. After his divine deity was combusted, they all exploded one after another. The flames Chen Xiang used could burn everything, including anything within the divine sense Jin Xiongyao's divine sense was merely injected with that flame by Chen Xiang, and in a few short moments, it was completely destroyed. Jin Xiongyao felt a splitting headache, but he had already seen the Chen Xiang who was previously standing far away from him. This attack of Chen Xiang's was using the Chuang's Hi+God furnace to release a strong flame, and then using a method inside the heavenly alchemy, it transformed into an illusory fire, attacking into Jin Xiongyao's divine sense Towards Jin Xiongyao, this kind of vicious pill Chen Xiang had always been able to kill as much as he wanted. The moment Jin Xiongyao fell to his knees, the elders of the Everlasting Mountain and the leader who had wanted to give him light all realized that Jin Xiongyao had been defeated. They all made their moves, and the elders at the side of the fighting stage immediately rushed over. However, the moment they charged over, they saw Chen Xiang's fist transform into a roaring fire dragon and punch towards Jin Xiongyao's head. The instant the fire dragon roared, it released a burst of surging flames, shrouding Jin Xiongyao who was kneeling on the ground. Roar's fire dragon fist brought along the flames released by the Chuang's Hi+God furnace, turning Jin Xiongyao's entire person into smoke. Not even ashes remained. Kill him! Right now, they did not care about being scolded by others anymore. After having 2 outstanding disciples killed consecutively by Chen Xiang, they had already been laughed at. Chen Xiang was still very calm up till now. Seeing the balls of light and the divine tools around, he teleported into the sky and formed a seal with his hands, causing the ground to suddenly shake. Heavenly Dragon Seal, Ground Dragon Sacrifice. Roar, roar, roar. Everyone heard fled dragon roar that seemed to come from the ground. At this moment, the area around the fighting stage was slightly protruding. Run! Someone shouted. Roar! A deafening roar suddenly exploded out. Came from the ground. A moment ago, a huge gash had appeared in the ground and several huge, flaming dragons had shot up from below. Myriad dragons sacrificed the heavens. Chen Xiang then used his heavenly dragon seal, and all kinds of angry dragons suddenly dropped from the sky, like thunder, like the wind, or like the surging river, constantly striking the elders below. This guy is from divine dragon race. An old man shouted in fear. The death of the divine dragon race. Ming Guang's hair was in a mess right now. He had actually ran up into the sky, Holding onto a large sword, he slashed out at Chen Xiang, instantly producing a myriad of red sword qi, like a tidal wave that swept up the ocean, enveloping Chen Xiang. Cloud and Sky Constellation. Chen Xiang used his heavenly vision technique. His body suddenly turned into mist, and although the sword qi pierced through his body, it was not able to harm him. Following that, he teleported behind Ming Guang. The heavenly magic sword was already in his hands. Die! Chen Xiang swung out his sword, causing Ming Guang's body to split into two. Chen Xiang immediately grabbed his head, then violently unleashed devouring magic kung fu, devouring Ming Guang's memories. So that's how it is. After Chen Xiang found what he wanted from Ming Guang's memories, he threw a fire cloud palm towards Ming Guang's body, which was now hanging in the air. Ming Guang's body, upon coming in contact with the huge palm, instantly vaporized. The big palm fell to the ground like a mountain, a wave of fire spread in all directions, the entire Great Heaven School was immediately engulfed by the sea of fire. C-2279. C-2279. Everyone floated in the air, staring at the calm and composed Chen Xiang, their hearts overwhelmed with shock. Chen Xiang simply wasn't here to ruin everything, but was here to annihilate the entire clan. The entire Great Heaven School, including the entire leader, were all killed by a single palm strike just now. Many disciples of the Great Heaven School had escaped this calamity as well, but their leader and a few elders had already died, and the entire Great Heaven School had been burnt to ashes. He actually ran away? For a dignified elder of the Everlasting Mountain to abandon his allies and flee, that is truly funny. Let me see who among the W.A.N.G. ancient heavenly star would dare to form an alliance with you? Chen Xiang looked at the few human figures that had disappeared and laughed coldly. They are just some shrimp soldiers and crab generals anyway, so you all won't be able to recall anything even if you live. You all will die sooner or later. Chen Xiang used the S.P.A.C. wind to leave, and everyone kept their distance from Great Heaven School. What happened today made many people feel that the Everlasting Mountain had declined. The elders of the Everlasting Mountain were beaten to the point of fleeing, while the allies that had just been allied with them were destroyed without any reaction at all. No one could understand that the Everlasting Mountain was one of the great powers in the Star Law Divine Realm, to think that they would be provoked in such a way. But no one knew that the inner sect of the Everlasting Mountain had already decayed. Those inner sect disciples were all very precious, even going to beat the special G.O.D. beast is afraid of death, not to mention encountering an expert siege. Therefore, they only dared to bully people weaker than them. As for leader, the only one who had the strength and wanted to accomplish great things in the sect, he had been tricked until his heart turned cold when he saw that Dan G.O.D. Toot and the elders' courtyard had joined together to fight against him. Now that he had pledged his allegiance to Chen Xiang, Everlasting Mountain had indeed fallen quite a bit. When Chen Xiang returned to the Tsang Cloud City's villa, there were actually a lot more people here, over 100 people. These people were all disciples who had once entered the inner sect through the outer sect examination. Here, Chen Xiang even saw the little clan elder that brought him to W.A.N.G. ancient heavenly star, Lin Shuyi. Lin Shuyi was also surprised. He did not expect that the person he had recruited would now be his big brother. Other than that, there were also the few elders in charge of taking care of the affairs of the outer sect, such as the old man in charge of supervising the killing of Special G.O.D. Beast. These were all outer sect disciples with relatively strong abilities. They did not want to stay in the inner sect, so they ran over to do some work in the outer sect. From chatting with them, Chen Xiang found out that they were all brought here by Dai Donggong. Back then, they owed Dai Donggong a favor, and Dai Donggong had promised them that he had enough bone-level Dan-s to help them. Chen Xiang never expected that so many people would come so suddenly. He distributed the Zhongping bone-level Dan-s and finished them all very quickly. It was just enough for now. There are only these delay pills for now. I have already sent people to collect the divine medicine. As long as they come back, I can immediately refine the pills. Presumably, everyone already had their own residences here, so they would first return to cultivate bones. It might not be long before we start to enter the battlefield, Chen Xiang said. Chen Xiang had distributed quite a number of bone-level dan, and everyone was very satisfied. They had only just arrived, yet they had already obtained quite a few, and the quality was even better. When they were in the inner sect of Everlasting Mountain, they were bleeding and sweating for many years. Speaking of entering the battlefield, the people here weren't the least bit afraid. They had already experienced life and death situations who knew how many times over the years, so this was just a common occurrence for him. When the Great Heaven School was exterminated, the elders of the Everlasting Mountain fled in panic. Not only was this news spread throughout the ancient heavenly star, even the most well-informed stars in the entire Star Law Divine Realm knew about it. As one of the big shots of the Star Law Divine Realm, the one who dominated the entire heaven stage stars, how could he be so embarrassed? After a few days, Dai Donggong was finally back, and was even bringing a cute girl with a round face. This girl had a long braid, and was nervously playing with the long whip in front of her chest. "This is your daughter?" Chen Xiang laughed and extended his hand to touch the girl's face, and she immediately blushed. Dai Xiaoro, this is the name her mother gave her. Dai Donggong lovingly caressed his daughter's head. With one glance, one could tell that she was only 14 or 15 when she was poisoned, but now, she had actually slept for such a long time. "Big brother, thank you for the antidote pill." Dai Xiaoro raised her head to look at Chen Xiang, and realized that Chen Xiang was very handsome, with a slight smile on his face. "There's no need to be polite. It's fine now." Chen Xiang laughed. "From now on, it's like you're at home." "Feng Wu." Chen Xiang called Feng Wu over, and then, he told him everything simply so that this was Dai Donggong's daughter. After all, there were many men here, and only Feng Wu was a woman. "Xiaoro, I'll bring you around to get familiar with this place." Feng Wu knew that Chen Xiang and Dai Donggong had something to say, so he left while holding on to Dai Xiaoru's hand. Dai Donggong was still worried, as he watched Feng Wu and Dai Xiaoro leave. "Senior, you don't have to worry about that. Our location is very hidden and there are quite a few powerful people here. This place is very safe," Chen Xiang said. Dai Donggong sighed and nodded. "When she was poisoned earlier, it made a shadow in my heart." Chen Xiang and Dai Donggong entered the hall. "On my way back, I already found out about what happened in the Great Heaven School." Dai Donggong laughed. "It seems like your strength is stronger than I expected. Senior, most of the outer sect disciples are already here. There is no need for you to return to Everlasting Mountain. Of course, if we have the chance in the future, we will return to the Everlasting Mountain, but we need to drive away that group of people first." Chen Xiang said, "You can continue to be a leader here, and my main job is to concoct pills. Leader, it's better if you do it. I will be the great clan elder. It will make me feel better." Dai Donggong laughed. "Looks like you're going to be a shopkeeper after all. This is good too. After all, you're a pill and you need to concoct pills all day." "That's right. Although we don't have many people left, we still need to consume a lot of supreme Dan beads. When the divine medicine arrives, I will have to go into seclusion to refine it." Chen Xiang said, "Great clan elder, do you know of any formation masters? For now, this place will be our resting place. We need to prepare our defenses." Dai Donggong frowned, then stood up and walked to the entrance of the Great Hall, and spoke with a serious tone. "There is, but it depends on whether or not I can invite him here. He's also in Song Cloud City. I'll go look for him now. Wait a moment." See 2280. See 2280. After Dai Donggong left, Chen Xiang pondered for a while. To think that there would be such an expert hidden in the Song Cloud City, and a familiar face suddenly appeared in his mind. Feng Wu and Chen Xiang had asked him about many things, and each time, they would have a huge harvest. Chen Xiang suspected that the person Dai Donggong was looking for was this old man. Originally, his relations, Hi+P with the everlasting mountainess were not bad. However, later on, a few conflicts occurred and they did not even meet each other anymore. You thought of that old man. This guy had held that trade fair before. It seems like people often ask about things from him. That's why he brought these people together. But how did he know? He seems to know a lot of things. This requires a lot of manpower to collect these things. Could he be? Chen Xiang was suddenly surprised. There is only one possibility. This guy is from the undead divine race. The heaven extended method of the undead divine race was very powerful, and could be considered a lot of things. When using it, one would lose their lifespan, but the lifespan of the undead divine race was almost limitless, so they were not worried about using it recklessly. He should be one of the more powerful sky spill masters in the undead divine race, if not he would not have been so easily killed. Although Huang Jintian and the others are all heaven extended method S, they are still much weaker than the old sky spill grandmasters in the undead divine race. Little Moon said, "This heavenly evolution master's technique can calculate a lot of things with a single finger pinch. It doesn't take a very long time." Chen Xiang had previously seen Huang Jintian and Huang Yantian using the heaven extended method to calculate, but they both required the support of a treasure. "Let's go. Won't we know if we go and take a look?" Yue smiled. Chen Xiang had the same thought, but he did not immediately take action. He went to find Huang Jintian and told him about it. "Really? I have calculated it several times with that stupid big brother of mine, but I could not calculate that there is a clan member of the undead divine race above the W. Ancient heavenly star." Huang Jintian was a little surprised. "But from what you're saying, it's very likely that he's actually our undead divine race's grandmaster, Sky Spill. This kind of guy can also avoid us from searching for him, but why would he hide from us? Master, let's go take a look. Maybe this guy thinks it's safer this way. He's one of the few who survived the disaster." Chen Xiang laughed. "What's more, it's just our guesses, maybe not?" Huang Jintian followed Chen Xiang out of the villa, and headed towards the alley where the old man was. The reason why Chen Xiang pulled Huang Jintian along was to make it easier for Huang Jintian to confirm. Although Yue possessed the bloodline of the undead divine race, she didn't have much of a bloodline power, so she couldn't sense it. However, Huang Jintian was different. Not long after, Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian arrived at the small alley, and Chen Xiang could already feel Dai Donggong's aura. This was just as he had guessed before. The formation master Dai Donggong wanted to rope in, was indeed the old man who did everything. "Master, can you feel his aura?" Chen Xiang asked. "I can't sense him. If he's really a grandmaster, then I can't easily sense him. Furthermore, I haven't met him yet," Huang Jintian said, "but I can actually feel Dai Donggong's qi." When they reached the end of the small alley, Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian entered the small house and saw Dai Donggong sitting opposite of the old man. Dai Donggong was surprised to see Chen Xiang here, but the old man did not. Obviously, he knew that Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian would come here. "Is this the G.O.D. of pills you spoke of?" The old man looked at Chen Xiang. "Hello, old sir. We meet again." Chen Xiang laughed. "I never thought that I was actually right. His name is Wu Ji, and our master is a good friend." Dai Donggong sighed. A trace of shame could be seen on his face. It was obvious that he felt guilty about Wu Ji's master. Chen Xiang nodded. At this time, Wu Ji looked at Huang Jintian, but it was only a very dull look. "Senior Wu, compared to the elder Dai, I think you should have heard a lot of things," Chen Xiang said. "If Senior Wu is to join us, we will definitely have great accomplishments in the future. You can refine the king grade G.O.D. pellet? Wu Ji asked directly. I also only know how to refine 3 lotus dan, because my wife was poisoned and required this kind of divine pill to cure her illness. I came to the star law divine realm from a long way away. Chen Xiang said truthfully. Then do you know how to refine Taipin bone level dan? Wu Ji asked again. He was obviously moved, but he wanted to confirm if Chen Xiang was really that great at pill refining. He was very clear about what Chen Xiang had done during the trade fair, and he was very curious about Chen Xiang a long time ago. If Senior has the Taipin bone level dan's medicinal ingredients, I can refine a cauldron for you to see. Chen Xiang was extremely confident. He could have refined it a long time ago, but the Taipin bone level dan's divine medicine was rather hard to obtain. I'm not a pill G.O.D. How would I know the recipe for bone level dan? Where can I go to get the bone level dan's divine medicine? Wu Ji laughed. This is the Taipin bone level dan I refined. Chen Xiang took one and threw it over. Wu Ji had asked Chen Xiang for the bone level dan before, but it was only low quality. He still had the bone level dan with him now, so it wasn't hard for him to tell that the Taipin bone level dan was refined by the same person as the Xiaoping bone level dan. Alright, I'll join you. However, you must first agree to the treatment that you are going to give me. Wu Ji returned the bone level dan back to Chen Xiang. Please speak. Chen Xiang lacked people as powerful as Wu Ji right now. His intelligence was especially important to him. Only you and I know about this treatment. Wu Ji looked at Dai Donggong and Huang Jintian. Dai Donggong immediately stood up and walked out of the small house. Huang Jintian also left at the same time. Wu Ji was a formation master. He slammed the table, and the table immediately released a ray of light, turning into a barrier that enveloped the entire hall. What condition? Chen Xiang asked. First of all, I have to ask you, do you know the ident? 1. Tai of that old man who just walked in with you? Wu Ji asked solemnly, causing Chen Xiang to be secretly shocked. He was certain that the elder had already seen through Huang Jintian's ident. 1. Tai as a undead divine race. He's my master, and we've been together for many years. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. Chen Xiang said as he frowned. You really don't know him? Wu Ji continued to ask. I'm not concerned about your relations. I+P with him, I'm only concerned about whether or not you understand him. Alright, he's from the undead divine race, and he's also a sky spill master. Chen Xiang said. You actually know about it? Wu Ji was a little surprised. C-2281. C-2281. Furthermore, when I defeated him as my master, I knew who his undead race was. However, at that time, his memories did not awaken, and it was said that he had failed his tribulation, causing him to die many times. Right now, he has to pass through some tribulation before he was able to regain his memories. Chen Xiang said, Oh right, he also has a twin brother, he looks exactly the same as him. The twin Sky Spillmaster, this is only a pair in the undead divine race. It's good that they are still alive. Wu Ji sighed, looking very happy. Senior Wu, you are also from the undead divine race, right? I already know about the matters in the undead divine race, and the reason I came here from very far away is to help my master and uncle master find their separated family members. Chen Xiang said. That's impossible, it's best if the undead divine race is scattered throughout. Your master and the others should have already told you the reason why the undead divine race was wiped out. You should also be clear about the consequences if we gather together. Wu Ji said. If they were to gather together and be discovered, they would definitely be exterminated. Yuer suddenly ran out from the ring and shouted, Senior, is my grandmother still alive? Seeing that a small white cat had suddenly ran out with snow-white wings, Wu Ji shouted in joy. Your grandmother talks about you often, and she thought that you would never come back. You being missing for so long made her worried. Answer me first, how is my grandmother now? Yue was also very worried about her grandmother, who was after all from undead divine race. She's in the star-moon divine race. But I don't know if I'll wake up again. Wu Ji thought about it for a long time before answering Yuer's question. The immortal bloodline in her body has been extracted, and we have tried many times, such as channeling the immortal bloodline into her, but none of them managed to prevent the bloodline in her body from being regenerated. Right now, your grandfather is using the time secret inside the star-moon divine race to seal her in a large array of time, so as to not let time pass, and she will die forever. When Wu Ji talked about this matter, he was extremely saddened. It could be seen that Yuer's grandmother had a very high status in the undead divine race. Yuer was currently feeling very sad. Her loving grandmother was currently in a very bad state. Chen Xiang, you should be able to save my grandmother. Yuer suddenly thought of Chen Xiang's peerless alchemy skills. I will do my best to save your grandmother, don't worry. Senior Wu also said just now that she was sealed in the time formation. Her condition is quite stable. Chen Xiang rubbed Yuer's small head. At this moment, Wu Ji had already removed his wariness towards Chen Xiang, and he could tell with a glance that Yuer was extremely reliant on Chen Xiang. That's right, senior. Quickly state your conditions. Chen Xiang said. Well, we are now considered acquaintances. Wu Ji suddenly felt it difficult to speak. Just say it, after you join us, there will be a lot of things that you need to do. In the future, you will also need to provide a lot of information. Chen Xiang laughed. Fine, give me 30 type-in bone level Dan every year. Wu Ji said. No problem. Chen Xiang agreed immediately. This was simply nothing to him. Ah, you promise so straightforwardly. Did I say too little? Wu Ji was startled, then laughed. Although he was a grandmaster of Sky Spill in the undead divine race, he still lacked divine pills, let alone the fact that the entire undead divine race was already extinct. Chen Xiang, what exactly is your goal in establishing plusing such a power? Is it to make it easier to collect divine medicines, or do you have some other purpose? Wu Ji was extremely curious. He already knew what Chen Xiang was doing in the Great Heaven School. It's mainly because the big shots in Star Law Divine Realm are not used to it right now. Also, I'm a pill G.O.D., so I normally would like to sell some divine pills, but under the control of those big powers, I can only do it quietly like a mouse. Chen Xiang said. I can refine high-level divine pellets, and in order to collect the divine pellets, I need to use divine pellets to exchange with them. However, if those enforcers find out about this, it will be very troublesome. The other reason is to help Yuer, my master and the others, and to avoid being hunted down in the future. Those fellows all had the intention of killing the G.O.D. race for their longevity, and they themselves have already violated the rules of the Star Law Divine Realm. As the enforcers, they definitely won't punish themselves, so I have to punish them. Wu Ji repeatedly nodded his head. He was quite confident in Chen Xiang, since he had already recruited Dai Donggong, who was now a strong ranker who had already reached the peak, and was now joined by him. In the future, Chen Xiang's power would definitely be even stronger. Furthermore, Chen Xiang was also an extremely powerful pill G.O.D. Grandpa Wu. How are the cat race and star moon divine race's situation right now? Yuer asked. All good. Your father, this devil star, will occasionally cause trouble for you in those heavenly stars. Wu Ji kindly caressed Yuer's soft fur. Senior, you will be our elder in the future. After we take down the everlasting mountain, we will decide on the name of a sect. Chen Xiang said. Nodded his head. Joining a reliable power was something he had always wanted to do, but there was nothing suitable for him. Although Chen Xiang had only just started, he felt that his future was very promising. Are all the other heavenly stars very powerful? Are the 3 remaining God tribes unable to destroy them? Chen Xiang had already experienced the everlasting mountain's strength. He felt that it was only at that level. Wu Ji shook his head. There are a total of 12 heaven-stage stars S, and one of them is an unparalleled star. There are only 11 people present, and W. A.N. G ancient heavenly star is the weakest among them. This is mainly due to the management of the everlasting mountain for many years, and it has been declining by quite a bit. Furthermore, Dai Donggong is considered a junior. The other 10 heavenly star realm experts are all seniors from the past. Back then, when they surrounded and killed our undead divine race, Dai Donggong did not join them, and because of that, he was isolated by the 10 great heavenly stars, which caused the Danji, Toot and the elders to become angry, and he felt sorry for me because he did not help the undead divine race back then. Wu Ji sighed. Actually, I shouldn't blame him. If he were to help undead divine race, his entire clan would be annihilated, and even if he were to help us, it would be to no avail. 10 great heavenly stars' surprise attack was simply too fast, so fast that the other 3 God clans were unable to react in time and were completely exterminated. Yu said, with the 10 great heavenly stars joining hands, the 3 remaining God tribes are no match for us. Moreover, after being sealed and hidden for so many years, the 3 God tribes will gradually decline. Exactly, the people from the 3 God tribes don't dare to casually walk around, especially since the God race's characteristics are very obvious. If they were discovered, they would definitely be taken away. Wu Ji said angrily. That group of BASTARDS, even if they can live for an unlimited amount of time, sooner or later they will all die. C-2282. C-2282 Yue and Wu Ji both felt that the 3 great God clans were extremely weak and it was extremely difficult to reverse the situation. After all, the 10 great heavenly stars was simply too powerful. Are they really that powerful? Chen Xiang asked. He did not have any idea how strong the 10 great heavenly stars was. Very powerful, there are only 3 peak divine Lord S, but within the 10 great heavenly stars, there are more than 30 of them. Adding all the other small and medium-sized forces, if you add them all together, there are still 1 to 200, and this W. A.N. G ancient heavenly star can be counted with one hand. Wu Ji said. Now you know how strong the 10 great heavenly stars is when they join forces, right? They're probably close to 1,000 or so peak divine lord. Yu said. There are really a lot of peak divine lords. Chen Xiang's face was also filled with surprise. The population of one heavenly star is several hundred billion, and they are all elites that have distinguished themselves from the countless Earth-stage stars' profound rank stars to enter the heavenly star realm. How come over the years it's normal for there to be 200 peak divine Lord S? Wu Ji said, in the entire star law divine realm, there are many stars that exist and there are hundreds of millions of people. However, the peak divine Lord only has 1,000, so this is considered few. Chen Xiang scratched his head. Why are there so few W.A.N. G ancient heavenly stars? Wu Ji said. It has something to do with the everlasting mountain. The everlasting mountains are very selfish, they control all the divine pellets themselves, and they have very strict control over them as well. Do not allow other small and medium-sized forces to have large-scale pellets business, and the divine pellets refined by their Dan-G-O Dinsti Toot S are all provided to the inner sect disciples, and the majority of the inner sect disciples are just a bunch of pigs. They can't be raised up no matter how much they raise. Sadly, many of Everlasting Mountain's outstanding outer sect disciples are treated as slaves and are tricked by them into hunting special God beasts. They went to risk their lives to look for divine medicine, and after many years of death, There are not many experts in Everlasting Mountain who want to stay here anymore and run to other heavenly stars. Yuer said, among all the W.A.N.G. ancient heavenly stars, the most difficult thing to become is most likely to be the bones. Amongst the W.A.N.G. ancient heavenly stars, the one with the most control over the bone level Dan is the one who dies the most. Chen Xiang laughed. In the future, this situation will be changed, but now we have to get rid of this group of B.A.S.T.A.R.D.S. from Everlasting Mountain. Wu Ji felt that they had stayed inside for a little too long. There were still Dai Donggong and Huang Jintian waiting for them in the outer sect. After Chen Xiang and the others walked out, Dai Donggong hurriedly asked, "We reached a conclusion." Chen Xiang smiled and nodded. "From now on he is Elder Wu." Huang Jintian immediately laughed. "Elder Wu, welcome to our clan, I am Elder Huang." Chen Xiang remembered that he hadn't even talked about being an elder to Huang Jintian before she asked him to, but he had already become one. Of course, Chen Xiang didn't say anything. "You should be considered a junior of mine, but your status is actually the same as mine." "But, forget it." Wu Ji laughed. It seems that he had already secretly communicated with Huang Jintian through sound transmission. Just like this, Chen Xiang, the young leader, and 3 elders swaggered down the street, returning to the villa. Returning to the villa, Chen Xiang met with the 3 elders for a meeting. "Elder Dai, you should have mastered a lot of cultivation techniques when you were in the Everlasting Mountain, right? Next, you should familiarize yourself with the disciples, impart them the appropriate cultivation techniques according to their circumstances, and guide them in their cultivation from time to time. Also, you are still the refiner. If you have the conditions, you can help them refine the divine artifacts and armor." Chen Xiang said. "That's no problem. Right now, they are all in closed-door training. When they come out, I will call them over and properly guide them." Dai Donggong nodded. "Elder Wu, you will be responsible for strengthening the villa's defense first, and then, you will do what you've done previously. You will inquire about the whereabouts of the high-grade divine medicine, and then, you will instruct the others to think of ways to get their hands on it." Wu Ji nodded his head. He had gotten 30 Type-In bone-level Dan a year, which was a very generous treatment, because Type-In bone-level Dan were very precious. "Me?" Huang Jintian asked quickly. "For example, the source of their divine medicine, and whether those elders and gods of the Everlasting Mountain have gone out or not. You can first communicate with the Elder Dai, and then ask Hua Lang to find a few people who are more knowledgeable in this field to work with you." Chen Xiang said, "When it's almost time, we will have to take action against Everlasting Mountain, so it's more useful to first understand Everlasting Mountain." Wu Ji nodded his head. "I can also provide some help on this point. Great Heaven School had just been destroyed, so they will definitely take action. That's about it. This is our main direction right now. First, we should stabilize, develop, and get to know the enemy. After that, we can eliminate the enemy and expand." Chen Xiang said, "My main job now is to refine pills. As long as I use the divine pellets in the right place, they will be of great use to me." "Oh right, Master, Hua Lang said that there was a guy who betrayed them. When the time comes, we can settle this matter with him, and have Hua Lang and the others spread the news of the various insides of the Everlasting Mountain." Chen Xiang looked at Dai Donggong and asked, "Elder Dai, do you want to tell Everlasting Mountain that you are no longer the leader?" Dai Donggong said, "I do, but I have to cooperate with Hua Lang and the others' promotion. At that time, I will announce my retreat, and that way, the Everlasting Mountain will definitely fall, and it will be hard for them to push out a good leader. Then we'll do it for now. I'll go back to concoct pills first, Master. If Ting Yong and Jing Zhe come back, let me know immediately." Chen Xiang had already used up both his Zhongping Danes, which were what he currently needed the most. Since Jing Zhe and Ting Yong had not come back yet, He could only use the alive slain method to duplicate a divine medicine to refine them. The outer sect disciples who had just joined were all elite. Their bones had all stopped for a long time, and now that they had obtained good bone-level DANs, they could quickly break through and condense new bones. When they came out of closed-door cultivation, they all went to Wu Ji to inquire about the whereabouts of the special G.O.D. beast. After killing the special G.O.D. beast and obtaining its corpse, one could sell it for Shen Yuan stone S. Most of the materials on special G.O.D. beast S could be used for smithing, which was very important for a large force. Furthermore, their newly born bones required a large amount of divine soul to be assimilated into the body, so they could only be obtained from special G.O.D. beast S. The next few months, Chen Xiang was still refining Zhongping bone-level Dan S. Originally, he had planned to play a good role in refining the bone-level fruit, but now, he could only delay it. C2283. C2283 Pure Text Online Read Local Domain Name Mobile Phone Synchronous Read Please visit Chen Xiang spent a few months' time refining a lot of bone-level Dan. At the moment, he was also a little worried, because he had taken so long to refine all of them, so he was afraid that the disciples who had just joined would be dissatisfied. However, when he came out from seclusion, he realized that his worries were unnecessary. Moreover, the quality was still so good. In the past, when they were in the Everlasting Mountain, although they could obtain a few type-in Dan, they were all useless to them. The quality was extremely bad, and there were no bone-level Dan that were useful, so they were all trash that the Dan G.O.D. Toot did not want. Jing Zhe and Ting Yong had already returned. The moment Chen Xiang came out of seclusion, he immediately ordered Hua Lang to call them over. Very quickly, Ting Yong and Jing Zhe arrived at the hall. Seeing their smiling faces, they knew that the harvest these past few days was extremely bountiful. We ran all over the heaven stage stars and the various great ground-level stars and bought a large amount of divine medicine that was needed by bone-level Dan. Ting Yong laughed. Leader, now we won't be worrying about the divine medicines for a long time, we're just looking at you. Jing Zhe took out a storage ring and handed it over to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang took a look at it and immediately laughed. There's really a lot of them, there's even low-rank high-rank, and there's even a few hundred of low-rank ones. Not bad at all. Chen Xiang was still very surprised. He carefully looked at the divine medicines in his storage ring. The low-rank ones were the most, and were all divided into groups. There were more than 100,000 of them, while the middle-rank ones had only a little more than 50,000, the upper-rank ones had a little more than 30,000. Don't you know that you are plundering so much? Chen Xiang asked. If we were to be discovered by them, you all would be in danger. Of course they know, but we're not vegetarians either. It's not that easy to capture us. Ting Yong laughed out loud. Although that group of BASTARDS had fast reactions, they still underestimated us. When they chased after us, we killed a few of them. There were so many stars in the Star Law Divine Realm, and Jing Zhe and Ting Yong had sold those more than 100 Shangpin bone-level Dan from the beginning in exchange for a large number of Shen Yuan stone. They were teleported to other stars and bought them with huge amounts of gold, so it was very quickly possible to purchase them. You have probably used up all your Shangpin bone-level Dan, but with your current situation, normal Shangpin bone-level Dan shouldn't be suitable for you. I will help you refine a bone-level Dan that fits your current situation. Chen Xiang said. Then he asked Ting Yong and Jing Zhe about the current situation of their bones in detail. After understanding the situation, he immediately entered the secret room to refine pills. Half a day later, he came out and gave Ting Yong and Jing Zhe a jade box each, containing 20 Shangpin bone-level Dan. These bone-level Dan were all of extremely high quality. Ting Yong and Jing Zhe could immediately tell that it was their dream many years ago to have the pill God refine a divine pellet for them. They didn't expect it to actually happen now. Let's go cultivate our bones first. We need more peak Divine Lord S to support us. Chen Xiang laughed. Thank you, leader. Ting Yong and Jing Zhe hurriedly thanked him and then left. Chen Xiang found Dai Donggong, who was instructing his disciple in cultivation. After half an hour, Dai Donggong finally had the time. Elder Dai, this is the bone level Dan that I just refined. Distribute it according to the situation. Chen Xiang gave Dai Donggong 2 storage bags. The middle grade one has 300, the upper grade 200, and then the upper grade 50 pellets. Chen Xiang spent the most time on the type-in bone level Dan, because he needed a lot of purple pearls to duplicate it, and the upper grade one was the same. However, there was no need to go through all that trouble, because Jing Zhe and Ting Yong had just bought back a large amount. Leader, you told me to find a better place last time. I have already found it. That valley has many different kinds of flowers and the environment is very good. Could it be that we are going to move there? When Feng Wu found out that Chen Xiang had come out of seclusion, he immediately looked for him. Not really. Chen Xiang smiled mysteriously. You will know about it in the future. For the time being, you should observe that place to see if there are any other flaws. Feng Wu nodded his head and said, Feng clan has been very close to Everlasting Mountain for this period of time, and many powers similar to Feng clan have allied themselves with Everlasting Mountain. The last time Great Heaven School was annihilated, it didn't seem to have had any effect. Dai Donggong said, There is indeed an impact, at least many people have other thoughts about the Everlasting Mountain, and during this period of time, I have also spread the news of me leaving the Everlasting Mountain. There is nothing that can be done about it even for a power like the Feng clan. If he does not form an alliance with the Everlasting Mountain, then he will definitely be ignored by the Everlasting Mountain, and at that time they will not even be able to obtain bone level Dan. Chen Xiang said, What we need now is strength. As long as we have enough strength, we will start selling these divine pellets. If Everlasting Mountain dares to cause trouble, we will have absolute power to send them away. Dai Donggong nodded his head. He did not know what kind of terrifying refining technique Chen Xiang had. It was very fast and the quality was very good. Hearing that Chen Xiang wanted to sell the divine pills, he knew that Chen Xiang would have even more divine pills in the future. The purpose of selling these divine pellets was, on the one hand, to increase the strength of the entire W.A.N.G. Ancient Heavenly Star and to rope the other powers of the W.A.N.G. Ancient Heavenly Star together. Your uncle master is back. Do you want to talk to him? Feng Wu had originally brought three Lotus Dan S with him to the Nine Heaven world. But now, he was able to return, which meant that his speed was already extremely fast. Chen Xiang followed Feng Wu to Huang Yantian's residence, where a few youths were receiving his guidance. Huang Yantian was now considered an elder here. In order to differentiate himself from Huang Jintian, this elder Huang, everyone called him Elder Yantian. Senior Master, has Shui Yi's poison been cured? Chen Xiang immediately asked when he saw Huang Yantian. It's already been undone, she's alive and kicking again, and she still clamored to come with me to find you, but LV Qilian did not let her, so she could obediently stay in Hundreds of Flowers village to cultivate. Huang Yantian patted Chen Xiang's shoulder and laughed. Right now, they are very peaceful, you can stay here and develop peacefully, waiting for them to come over. Back then, when Chen Xiang had asked Huang Yantian to bring back some things, he had told them about the situation here in detail, and wanted them to think of a way to quickly level up and cultivate to the peak of the 100 GODS levels 9 bones. Only by doing this would it be safer to bring a force over. LV Qilian's Hundreds of Flowers village had a team of pill GODS, so they condensed more purple pearls as well, so copying the bone level Dan would be much faster than Chen Xiang alone. Furthermore, Chen Xiang had also sent the type-in bone level Dan, along with the top-quality 9 Yin and Yang Dan's divine medicine over, allowing them to cultivate their divine deity to the peak faster and faster. C2284. C2284 Pure Text Online Read Local Domain Name Mobile Phone Synchronous Read Please visit now. Chen Xiang felt much more relaxed. Bone Level Dan were no longer in short supply, and Ting Yong and Jing Zhe had also brought back so many divine medicines. If he needed them, he could quickly refine them. Chen Xiang and Feng Wu walked in the middle of the villa and chatted with her for a while. Suddenly, they met a group of men who returned in a rage. What's going on? Why is there so much anger? Chen Xiang asked with a smile. This. Nothing. A man was about to say something, but after some thought, he did not say it. To think that you're even a man. What kind of thing are you speaking to me about? Hurry up and tell me. Are you being bullied outside? You were worried that I would laugh at you, so you didn't dare to say it out loud. Chen Xiang patted the man's shoulder and laughed. Leader, we were indeed bullied. If not for Hua Lang's warning to us not to act recklessly, we would have already fought with our lives on the line. The man said. Chen Xiang nodded his head. Hua Lang is right. If we meet with this kind of situation, if we cannot win, we can run, and then come back to call for help. There is nothing to joke about. Who exactly is bullying us? Another big man said. Let's go hunt the special G.O.D. beast and kill them. We were surprised to find out that the special G.O.D. beast's lair. After going to his lair, we found 2 large watermelons that were like white jade, but at this time, a few of them ran out and stole them. They are all very strong, we can't beat them, and 2 of our brothers were injured by them. A large watermelon the size of white jade, and one that was guarded by special G.O.D. beast. One could tell that it was a higher-level divine medicine. Do you know where those people came from? Chen Xiang asked. They all shook their heads. Then do you still remember their appearances, as well as the moves they used in battle? Chen Xiang asked again. Seeing them nod their heads, Chen Xiang said, Go find Elder Wu and tell them the details. If we find out who those people are, I will personally help you take back those things and teach them a lesson. You actually dare to SNATCHR things. The few men immediately went to find Wu Ji, and not long after, Wu Ji arrived at Chen Xiang's residence. Elder Wu, this is what I promised you. I'll give you 30 Taipin Bone Level Dan S every year. Chen Xiang handed the Taipin Bone Level Dan over to Wu Ji. He refined it so quickly, he's really amazing. Wu Ji chuckled as he kept the Taipin Bone Level Dan and continued speaking. Those people who stole that group of brats should be the Ling Tian school disciples of the nearby Ling Tian city. These people have always been arrogant, and have already allied themselves with the everlasting mountain, so they're even more arrogant. Chen Xiang nodded his head. I'll go look for Ling Tian City right now. They actually dare to rob our people. Are you going by yourself? Wu Ji asked. Of course. Chen Xiang was still confident in his own strength, but at the moment Wu Ji couldn't really see just how strong he was, so he was a little worried. Chen Xiang was teleported from Song Cloud City to Ling Tian City, then to Ling Tian School. Originally, Chen Xiang was prepared to use some time to confirm whether the things were really stolen by the Ling Tian School. But just as he arrived, he heard someone talking about the 2 Tianyu G.O.D. melon that the Ling Tian School had just obtained. Tianyu G.O.D. melon is a heaven-grade divine medicine. It is said that eating one would allow the peak divine lord to extend their lifespan by 1,000 years. It is extremely precious. This Ling Tian school is so lucky to actually be able to get 2. I wonder where they got them from. It seems like they will definitely become friends with the peak divine lord because of these 2 Tianyu G.O.D. melon. It was Chen Xiang's first time hearing of a Tianyu G.O.D. melon. After all, this was a heaven-grade divine medicine, and was even rarer than king-grade. There is indeed such a miraculous pill that can increase one's lifespan. Refining it into a pill is definitely better than eating it directly. Chen Xiang had already confirmed that the white jade watermelon was the so-called Tianyu G.O.D. melon, but it had been SN. ATC head away by the disciples of the Ling Tian school. When he was walking on the road, he saw many elderly people ing towards the Ling Tian school. All of them looked like they were running out of gas. Their lifespans were almost up. Now that they heard the Tianyuji melon had appeared, they all rushed over. If they could get some, maybe they could even extend their lives a little, and if they could successfully break through the bottleneck they currently had, they could still live a long time. Even eating Tianyuji melon could increase lifespan by 1,000 years. If one's cultivation was low, it would be increased by even more. However, Tianyuji melon were heaven-grade divine medicines. They were extremely rare, and even if Peak Divine Lord wanted to, it would be difficult to find them. As such, the group of elders that rushed over only held onto a sliver of hope. When Chen Xiang arrived at the gate of the Ling Tian school, although it was wide open, more than 10 big men were guarding it, preventing people from entering. Meanwhile, the old man from the outer sect shouted in a weak voice, hoping to let them see the divine melon. I heard that the other great leaders of the heavenly star realm are already on their way, and that those guys are much stronger than the Everlasting Mountain. Although the Ling Tian school is Everlasting Mountain's ally, if the other great leaders of the heavenly star realm want him, the Ling Tian school would not dare to not give it to them. Ancient heavenly star is too weak. This time Everlasting Mountain can only swallow his anger. The other big shots of the heavenly star realm had all made their moves, causing Chen Xiang to be secretly shocked. But after thinking about it for a bit, in order to increase their lifespans, the other big shots of the heavenly stars had all ignored their rules, and directly started a massacre of the undead divine race. You have to hurry up. If the experts from the Peak Divine Lord come and take him away, you might not have the chance. Yuer said, this divine melon definitely can't fall into the hands of those bastards. Chen Xiang nodded his head and turned into a wisp of smoke, entering the Ling Tian school from high up in the sky. Using spatial teleportation, he easily broke through the Ling Tian school's defensive array and entered the Ling Tian school. After sneaking in, he immediately released hundreds of threads of divine soul to search, and very quickly, he found an elder. He immediately teleported next to the elder and used a mental attack to knock him out, then used the soul-absorbing devil spell to search his memories, and very quickly, he found out where the 2 Tianyuji melon were hiding. Ling Tian school's overall strength was not very strong. The elders here only had around 80 or so divine deity. Chen Xiang could easily put them on the ground. Ling Tian school has already formed an alliance with Everlasting Mountain, but he's actually kneeling in front of another heavenly star great leader. It looks like Ling Tian school will kneel to whoever has the strongest fist, said. At this time, he had arrived at the back mountain of the Ling Tian school. There were dozens of tall mountains there, and the Tianyuji melon were hiding in one of them. Chen Xiang found a lot of useful things from the elder's memories. Although the elder was not strong, he was still considered strong in the Ling Tian school, so he knew a lot of secrets. C-2285. C-2285 Chen Xiang teleported to the outer mountain gate and used the Dao Heart Eye to penetrate the entire mountain. Not long after, he found the location of the Tianyuji melon and hid in the middle of the mountain. I didn't see any caves, they must have been sealed up. Even so, it was not difficult for Chen Xiang. He teleported to the stone room in the middle of the mountain. Ling Tian school was only barely a medium-sized sect. The formation barrier was something that was very shallow. Chen Xiang could really break through it. Who is it? When Chen Xiang appeared in the stone room, he suddenly heard someone shouting, and then the cold sword pierced over. He teleported to avoid it, and at the same time used a technique to retrieve the 2 divine seeds that were sealed in the middle of the stone room. The seal did not seal the SP AC, so Chen Xiang could easily retrieve it using the power of SPAC. You're the one who stole our divine gourds, you should know that. Chen Xiang laughed coldly. I am only helping my sect's disciples to retrieve it. So what? Even if we can get it, it's all because of our ability. You can take it back now, but don't be too pleased with yourself. I have already sent a sound transmission to all the elders, and the Purple Yuan Heavenly Star S of the Purple Yuan Heavenly Star will be coming over very soon. At that time, you will only have to die. The man in charge of protecting the divine gourd sneered. He wasn't worried at all. Ha ha! Chen Xiang laughed. I came so easily, and I was able to leave so easily. Did you bring some confidence to think you can trap me? After Chen Xiang finished speaking, he teleported away. Right now he was floating in the air, unleashed. HI plus ing fire cloud palm on the entire Ling Tian school below him. The giant palm formed by soaring flames covered the entire Ling Tian school. When it smashed down, the violent heat exploded, burning the entire structure of the Ling Tian school. Realizing that something was wrong, the disciples of the Ling Tian school all ran out. Seeing the gigantic flame palms pressing down on them, they all howled and flew away from the Ling Tian school. Chen Xiang teleported to a place far away from Ling Tian City and watched as the fire cloud palm descended and ignited the entire Ling Tian school in a sea of flames. Only then did he nod his head in satisfaction and leave Ling Tian City. Yuer, have you heard of Purple Yuan sect? It does not sound very domineering, but it looks like he has quite the good strength. Otherwise, he would not dare to come to Everlasting Mountain's territory and directly ask for the divine gourd. Chen Xiang asked. If the Purple Yuan sect came and found out that the divine gourd had been stolen, he would definitely investigate him immediately. He had previously used the fire cloud palm in the Great Heaven School, so he would definitely link these two matters together. However, it would be difficult to find out his identity. One Tai. Yuer, there are still quite a few purple pearls, right? Copy the divine melon. Those 2 divine melon were obtained by those guys, so I have to return it to them. Chen Xiang said. He did not plan on embezzling it, otherwise, he would be no different from a Dan Ji. Dynasty Toot. Chen Xiang very quickly returned to the Tsang Cloud City's villa, and gathered Dai Donggong, Wu Ji, Huang Jintian, and Huang Yantian over. At the same time, there were those few men. This must be the white jade watermelon you found. Chen Xiang laughed, and then said it to one of the big-sized men. Right. Leader, your movements are really nimble, you found it so quickly. The big-sized man said with a look of admiration. He was also extremely curious how Chen Xiang obtained it. It seems to be the legendary Tianyu G.O.D. melon. The knowledgeable Wu Ji frowned, but he could not confirm, because such a thing was extremely rare, and he could not believe that it would appear right in front of his eyes. Tianyu G.O.D. melon? Isn't this thing extinct? Dai Donggong was also shocked. Chen Xiang nodded. These are Tianyu G.O.D. melon. In order to obtain these 2 divine gourds, Purple Yuan Heavenly Star S of the Purple Yuan Heavenly Star have all hurried over. The big man said in shock, to think that it would be such a precious thing. Then we don't need it, leader, you keep it. I have already taken the seed. In the future, I can plant it, but you can keep it for yourselves. Of course, it would be best if it could be refined into a pill. I feel like I can at least refine 5 heaven-grade divine pills with such a big head. However, I still do not know how to refine a heaven-grade divine pill. Chen Xiang laughed. He had already copied one, so he did not need it anymore. Since Wu Ji was an undead divine race, there was no need for him to die either. Dai Donggong had a long life. He didn't have much of an opinion on divine CUC. You don't want the leader, but it's useless for us to keep it. We can still live for a long time, so we don't need to use it to extend our lives. The few of them nodded their heads, they were sincerely giving it to Chen Xiang. "All right, I'll accept it. Come look for me when you find your life short." Chen Xiang laughed and took the 2 divine gourds, and then gave quite a few shopping bone-level danes, each with 100 of these. These divine pills can be exchanged for Shen Yuan stones, but you need to be careful when selling them. If you are worried, you can get Elder Wu to help you sell them. Chen Xiang laughed. To Chen Xiang, shopping bone-level dan were the easiest to get. Ting Yong and Jing Zhe had gotten a lot of divine medicines, which he could casually refine for a very long time. These people were already very happy when they found out that Chen Xiang was trying to take revenge for them. What they wanted was this sense of belonging, to have someone stand up for them when they were bullied, and it was even leader. Yet Chen Xiang still gave them so many shopping bone-level danes, making them extremely happy. This was enough for them to take a very long time. Elder Wu, you should pay attention to the movements of the Ling Tian school during this period of time. I didn't expect you to clash with the Purple Yuan Heavenly Star so quickly. Chen Xiang chuckled. This guy must be very depressed. He came all the way here and thought he could get a divine pill to increase his lifespan. I didn't expect him to come for nothing. At this moment, Wu Ji also felt very relieved. This B.A.S.T.A.R.D. had made quite a few moves against our clansmen back then. It's just that we don't know how many people he brought. Chen Xiang immediately looked at Dai Donggong, and a glint flashed past his eyes. I think it's feasible. Why don't the 3 of us move out and see if we can kill him? Chen Xiang was a little excited. If he came by himself, it shouldn't be difficult for the 3 of us to kill him if we join hands. Wu Ji took a deep breath. At this moment he was also somewhat excited. This is indeed an opportunity. He definitely doesn't think that Everlasting Mountain has the guts to attack them, but we can. Dai Donggong clenched his fists. Although getting rid of this leader will not cause chaos in the Purple Yuan sect, it will increase the pressure on the Everlasting Mountain, because the leader died here. Alright, I'll take a look at Ling Tian City now, and try my best to kill that fellow. Chen Xiang was already about to make his move. He also wanted to personally see how strong this of the Heavenly Star realm was. C-2286. C-2286 Wu Ji took out a crystal ball. He pressed both hands onto the crystal ball and closed his eyes. Let me first ask my clone in Ling Tian City to see what's going on in Ling Tian City. Wu Ji said. Could it be the Heaven's Divination Avatar in the middle of teleportation? Huang Jintian said in shock. What is the Sky Spill Avatar? Chen Xiang was so surprised to see the Huang Jintian brothers. He knew that the Sky Spill Avatar was very powerful. Dai Donggong was also very curious, looking at Huang Jintian. He hoped that he could answer. This is an extremely powerful natural ability of the Sky Spill Master. He can have countless clones, and these clones can also live their own lives. They are no different from normal people, and these clones don't even know that they are clones. When the main body needs it, we can use its Sky Spill power to search the memories of the Avatar and learn a lot of things. Huang Yantian said. Those clones will never know that they are clones. I don't know how many clones Elder Wu has in the Star Law Divine Realm. I always thought that this was just a legend among the Sky Spill Master. I didn't think that it would actually exist. Huang Jintian exclaimed. No wonder Elder Wu knows so many things. I had thought that Elder Wu had calculated it using the Heaven Extended method, but who would have thought that he was actually relying on a doppelganger? Chen Xiang was also amazed that there was such a mystical body-splitting technique. Wu Ji chuckled. I can also use the Heaven Extended method to calculate sometimes. However, in order to find out more information, I have to use my clones rather quickly. Over the years, I have produced over 100,000 clones in various parts of the Star Law Divine Realm, and among them, there are even more than a few dozen whose strength has reached 90 divine deity. In order to keep these clones, I need a lot of bone-level dan. Chen Xiang and the others immediately took in a breath of cold air. Over 100 clones was already shocking enough, but this Wu Ji had more than 100,000 clones. However, there are strong and weak clones, so it's difficult to nurture them. Because we are not real humans, there are more or less problems. Unstable ones will even self-destruct. Wu Ji said, "All these years, I have only been able to cultivate around 1,000 stable clones with more potential. Of course, if I wanted to, they could all integrate with me. I can also inculcate in them the goal I gave them in the depths of their consciousness, so that they will work towards that goal." Dai Donggong sighed, "All of you G.O.D. races have such terrifying innate abilities. It's a bit unfair." Wu Ji laughed bitterly. "You can't say that. Our undead divine race wasn't our clan exterminated? Purple Yuan sect is here. He's in a rage right now. We can head to Ling Tian City right now." This Purple Yuan sect was one of the people who Ma.'s sacred the undead divine race back then. At this moment, Wu Ji was extremely happy because this was their chance. He came by himself. "If the three of us join forces, we'll definitely be able to take him down." Wu Ji laughed coldly. "This guy used our clansman's blood to continue living, let him return it now." Chen Xiang said, "Do you have any plans? If that guy can't find the divine gourd, will he leave immediately?" Wu Ji said, "That won't happen, because an elder of the Ling Tian school told him to wait a bit. They have already investigated and will get the results soon. At that time, as long as he makes a move, they will be able to take him back. Let's go to Ling Tian City now," Dai Donggong said. Chen Xiang, Wu Ji and the rest all changed their appearances briefly before they headed towards Ling Tian City through the transmission array. "It's better to lure him out of the city. When the time comes, we can consume some of his strength. If we start a war in Ling Tian City, the entire city will be destroyed." Wu Ji said. He also did not like killing, especially those who had nothing to do with it. The Purple Yuan sect's name is Qi Yuan, and he cultivates a strange type of purple-colored divine lightning that uses lightning-attributed God strength. Everyone be careful, when his entire body is filled with purple qi, he is going to use that strange type of divine lightning. Wu Ji said, "I'll go and lure him out of the city now. Wait for me at the foot of the mountain outside the city." Chen Xiang and Dai Donggong immediately left the city, and quickly arrived at the mountain peak that Wu Ji had pointed out just now. "This is my first time fighting with a peak divine lord ranker. I'm a bit nervous." Chen Xiang laughed. Although he said that, he did not look nervous at all. Although this Purple Yuan sect is the first batch of experts, it does not mean that he is strong. I am a peak divine lord belonging to the younger generation. Even if there is a gap between us, the gap will not be too wide. At that time, with me controlling him, you and Elder Wu can work together and definitely kill him." Dai Donggong laughed. "Don't be too nervous. As long as Qi Yuan is me, he won't be a problem. At peak divine lord's level, no one can break through, and no one can compare in strength. So the only thing left to do now is which side will have the most people. Is there really no one in the Elder Dai who can break through to the peak of the realm? What would happen if I were to break through?" Chen Xiang was very curious about this. "Back then, my master had left very early on. He said that he was going to look for longevity and break through to the peak of perfection, but he didn't return for many years, and among the peak divine lord that were in the same group as him, none of them were able to break through." The Elder Dai shook his head. Chen Xiang had only heard that in the undead divine race of the God clan, there was an old patriarch who had broken through, but after breaking through, he did not know what had happened. "He's here." Dai Donggong's face suddenly became serious, and shouted. In the direction of Ling Tian City, Wu Ji had turned into a blue light and was flying over quickly. However, a purple light was chasing closely behind him. Dai Donggong immediately released 3 array discs, stacked them together, and then opened the array disc. He released an extremely powerful barrier, just in case Qi Yuan ran away. Chen Xiang looked at the 3 array discs. They were gradually disappearing, and he was unable to sense them. This way he could prevent the barrier from collapsing. At this time, Chen Xiang and the others were inside the barrier. They could not go out, nor could others. The duration of this barrier is limited. Everyone hurry up. Dai Donggong sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang and Wu Ji. After Wu Ji entered, Dai Donggong immediately rushed over, struck out with his palm, and dissolved the purple lightning that flew over. Chen Xiang saw that Wu Ji's face was pale white, and there was even blood at the corner of his mouth. Wu Ji was actually injured. Although he was using 100 GODS level, the difference between the number of his bones and Qi Yuan's allowed him to be weaker than him as a whole. When he was running over, he was injured by Qi Yuan. Dai Sun, this is... I understand, you want to kill me. Ha ha. You little scoundrel left the everlasting mountain because you wanted to create your own sect, right? I knew that you wouldn't be able to control the crafty side of the Danji Dinsti Toot back then. When Qi Yuan saw Dai Donggong, he laughed and was not one bit surprised. As for the everlasting mountain, the other heavenly stars were also quite concerned about them, so they knew about the current situation in the everlasting mountain. C-2287. C-2287 Chen Xiang looked at Wu Ji and immediately guessed that Wu Ji had revealed his ident. 1. Tai as the undead divine race, which was why he was able to lure Qi Yuan over. Qi Yuan had partic. 1p, aided in the Ma.S. Saker of the undead divine race, so it was normal for Wu Ji to have attacked him earlier, therefore he immediately chased after him. Dai Zi, do you think you and these 2 little SCU can kill me? You are too naive. Don't think that just because you are a peak divine lord, you can be on par with me. I'll let you know what a difference is now. Qi Yuan's wrinkled face was filled with sneer and disdain. Dai Donggong was younger than him by a generation and was just a child in his eyes, so he did not look down on Dai Donggong at all. Furthermore, at that time when Dai Donggong did not partic 1p. 8 in the slaughter of the undead divine race, they had already seen how unhappy Dai Donggong was. Now that there was a chance, they wanted to teach him a lesson. Dai Donggong sneered. Qi Yuan, you should look in your own mirror and see how many years you have left to live. No matter how strong you are, in the end, aren't you still going to die from the torture of time? He knew Chen Xiang's strength, but he was sure that Chen Xiang was not peak divine lord. As long as he did not reach that level, it would be difficult for him to defeat Qi Yuan. He had just experienced it himself. He felt that he himself was already very strong. Although he had almost reached the peak divine lord realm, he was injured after being hit by Qi Yuan. And that was only if Qi Yuan did not want to kill him, because Qi Yuan needed the immortal bloodline in his body to increase his lifespan. Let's go to the side, let the elder Dai go first. Wu Ji said to Chen Xiang before pulling Chen Xiang to the edge of the barrier. Elder Dai? I thought that you had already established your own clan, but to think that you are only an elder? So who's your head? Is it that undead divine race? Qi Yuan looked at Wu Ji and Chen Xiang. Don't worry, before you die, I will tell you who my leader is. You must be careful of him. He is very strong. Dai Donggong laughed sinisterly. He did not directly tell Qi Yuan that he was leader. He was worried that Qi Yuan would ignore everything and kill him immediately. Qi Yuan snorted. He was also secretly on guard. He obviously didn't think that the guy with the young face, Chen Xiang, was a leader, so normally, people who could become big shots in power would become white-haired old men. What's more, the person who could make Dai Donggong this peak divine lord follow was definitely a peak divine lord. If he doesn't come now, he'll just give me a chance to kill you. I have to thank him. After Qi Yuan finished speaking, he suddenly opened his mouth, and a purple light surged out. It was actually purple lightning. This sudden attack made it difficult for Dai Donggong to defend against it. His chest was struck, and sent flying by the force of the blow. "What terrifying purple lightning!" Chen Xiang exclaimed in his heart. Just now, when that purple lightning struck out, there was not even a trace of qi, yet it was able to cause such huge damage. If it wasn't for the fact that Dai Donggong was wearing a powerful divine armor, his body would definitely have been penetrated. Normally, when Qi Yuan unleashed such a powerful attack, it would set off an extremely berserk wave that would spread to the surroundings, but when Qi Yuan released the purple lightning just now, he did not do so. "You overestimate yourself." This time, Dai Donggong could avoid all of them. But what made people feel strange was that after the few purple bolts of lightning struck the ground, they did not make any sound, as if the air had touched the ground and did not cause a huge commotion. Dai Donggong was not someone to be trifled with. He could repeatedly avoid the strange purple lightning. Holding onto his sword, he slashed out a few lines of blue sword qi, which transformed into numerous fierce beasts that pounced towards Qi Yuan from all directions. This Qi Yuan's purple lightning is indeed strange. When he released it earlier, seeing Dai Donggong suddenly dodge, he could immediately retract his strength and release it freely. Chen Xiang lies the situation in his heart. Chen Xiang also realized that Dai Donggong was very concentrated when he used his God power. The God power contained in his sword qi was very strong, but the target of this sword qi was only Qi Yuan. It would not cause any damage to anyone other than Qi Yuan. "Is that all?" Qi Yuan slapped the blue hand that was ting him with a palm. Boom. Qi Yuan shattered all of Dai Donggong's powerful sword qi, and it released a loud explosion, causing the enchantment to vibrate. Feeling the incoming berserk wave, Chen Xiang finally felt how terrifying Dai Donggong's sword qi was. Just now, it was only a blue light with no aura at all. Myriad God Mountain Seal. With a wave of his hand, the 100 GODS level in Dai Donggong's body absorbed the energy of the divine sense C, and combined with his 9 divine deity, it instantly erupted with a powerful divine power, transforming into a gigantic mountain that appeared on Qi Yuan's head. This enormous mountain appeared in an instant and smashed down immediately. Qi Yuan had also expected that, with a loud shout, he would be pressed down. Boom! The moment the giant mountain fell to the ground, it unleashed a terrifying vibrating power. The surrounding ground suddenly split open, and cracks spread out in all directions. Ling Tian City, which was still quite a distance away, was split into several pieces by the deep cracks. Little B, ASTARD. Qi Yuan bellowed, a burst of purple lightning covered the huge mountain. Bang! The instant that purple light flashed, the gigantic mountain disappeared. Qi Yuan, whose entire body was covered in purple lightning threads, had a face full of anger, which made his wrinkled face become even more terrifying, but he was currently in a very sorry state. Pfft! Qi Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood. He did not expect Dai Donggong to actually know this terrifying forbidden technique. Chen Xiang looked at Dai Donggong and realized that his expression was strange. He immediately understood that Dai Donggong had used up a lot of energy from the previous exchange, and just when he was about to move Dai Donggong, he did not expect Qi Yuan to turn into a thick purple lightning and charge at him. F. Dai Donggong screamed out, and flew towards Chen Xiang and Wu Ji. Wu Ji immediately caught Dai Donggong, causing his face to turn pale white, blood flowing out of his mouth. His internal organs were severely injured. "You actually let me suffer such heavy injuries, you little bastard." Qi Yuan was so angry that his entire body was trembling, both of his eyes had turned purple, with purple electric light flash. Hi+ing in them. His palms were releasing purple mist, which accompanied the crackling sound of the electric light. "All of you, go die together." Both of Qi Yuan's hands clasped together, and he threw himself forward. A streak of purple lightning the size of a vat charged over, and that powerful pressure actually shattered the entire barrier. The color of the sky and earth immediately changed, black clouds rolled about, and thunder rumbled everywhere. Qin Xiang instantly released his 6 realms mirrors and faced Qi Yuan with the mirror, all of the divine power pouring into the 6 realms mirrors. The berserk purple lightning sent by the peak divine lord struck the 6 realms mirrors and was reflected back by the mirror, striking Qi Yuan himself. C-2288. C-2288U. After Qi Yuan was struck, his entire body became charred black and flew out, but he was still able to stand stably. After all, it was his own strength. He could absorb most of it, but he could not control himself and was injured. Just a moment ago, Qi Yuan had already suffered a very serious injury from Dai Donggong's forbidden technique, and now, his injuries were even more severe. Old B, A-S-T, A-R-D, it's time for you to die. When Qin Xiang saw that Qi Yuan had been sent flying, he immediately teleported behind him, took out his heavenly magic sword, and ruthlessly hacked at Qi Yuan. Although Qi Yuan was heavily injured, his reaction speed was fast to the point that it surprised Qin Xiang. A purple S.H.I plus ELD suddenly appeared behind him, but he had underestimated Qin Xiang's heavenly magic sword. When Qin Xiang's heavenly magic sword hacked down, the divine S.H.I plus ELD was split apart like tofu, and Qi Yuan's body was smashed into 2 halves by the huge S.H.I plus ELD at the same time. You? Who are you? He did not die, but his old eyes were wide open. He had lived for so long, and had even found a way to increase his life force. He was unwilling to die just like this, and he still wanted to live. I am the leader. After Qin Xiang finished speaking, he took out the Chuang's H.I plus G.O.D furnace, causing it to grow bigger and control the flames to spill out, causing the outside flames of the divine stove to burn. Qi Yuan's pupils contracted. He was filled with fear. He never thought that the powerful leader who could make Dai Donggong follow him would actually be a very young-looking brat. This caused him to be unwary of Qin Xiang before, and he knew that he was dead for sure. Boom! The Chuang's H.I plus G.O.D furnace pressed down onto Qi Yuan's body and smashed it into sparks. Qi Yuan was a peak divine lord. After being killed, he left behind a very strong power, but it was all absorbed by the Chuang's H.I plus G.O.D furnace. Qin Xiang did not know why the Chuang's H.I plus G.O.D furnace wanted to absorb it, nor could he control it. Dai Donggong and Wu Ji were also shocked by Qin Xiang. Qin Xiang's attacks had been extremely smooth, and in one breath, he killed Qi Yuan. Of course, the few divine tools in Qin Xiang's hands had also left a deep impression on them. They knew that they were definitely not doing something ordinary. They had always thought that they were shrewd and scheming, and also did not know how to do things well, but they never thought that Qin Xiang had hidden himself even further. Even they had thought that Qin Xiang was weak in front of the peak divine lord. It's really not easy to get rid of a peak divine lord. Qin Xiang laughed and walked over to help Dai Donggong up. Leader, you are truly secretive. I thought you were only good at concocting pills. Dai Donggong laughed. While concocting pills, I will not forget to enhance my strength. I already have enough divine pills. Qin Xiang said with a smile, then opened up a spatial pause. Sageway. Let's go back. He brought Dai Donggong and Wu Ji and stepped into the spatial tunnel, then directly returned to the villa. I'll go heal my wounds first. I have my own healing divine pellet, and will be able to recover very quickly. Elder Wu, take note of the movements of the Purple Yuan Heavenly Star during this period. Dai Donggong said. Purple Yuan sect died. The other elders will happily die, especially the one who took over leader. But in order to establish his might, He definitely has to take revenge for Qi Yuan. I am clear of this. Take a good rest, Elder Dai. Wu Ji nodded. His injuries were considered relatively light. Purple Yuan sect's leader is dead. This matter quickly spread to all the stars in the Star Law Divine Realm. The W.A.N.G. Ancient Heavenly Star was even more anxious, because the leader's leader died in his place, and there were even people who saw the huge mountain that appeared during the great battle. That was a forbidden technique that only the Everlasting Mountain knew how to use. However, Everlasting Mountain of the Everlasting Mountain had already left the Everlasting Mountain, and for some reason, they had started fighting with the Purple Yuan sect, and based on what happened before, everyone came to a conclusion that the fight might be related to the Tianyuji-od melon. When Qi Yuan came, the Tianyuji-od melon just happened to have been SN. ATC head away, and after that, the people from the Ling Tian school went to investigate. In the end, Qi Yuan and Dai Donggong fought outside the city. It was just that he did not think that the battle would last so long, and Qi Yuan was even killed, with not a complete corpse. Although Dai Donggong was a peak divine lord, he still belonged to the younger generation. Logically speaking, he was not as strong as the older generation, but he was able to kill Qi Yuan in a short amount of time. Earlier, there were rumors saying that Dai Donggong had always been suppressed by the Danji-o Dnsti using divine pills, so he couldn't unleash his powerful strength. But not long after Dai Donggong left the Everlasting Mountain, he killed a powerhouse, shocking many people with his strength. Purple Yuan's sect died here, the unlucky ones would be them, because at that time, Purple Yuan Heavenly Star would have a very good reason to run here. If Everlasting Mountain was not strong enough, he would be taken over in the end, and that was what they did not want to see. The W.A.N.G. Ancient Heavenly Star was so big, no one knew where Dai Donggong was hiding, and Huang Jintian and the rest had already ordered their disciples to return. After the news spread, they would then take action, because the Everlasting Mountain already knew that Chen Xiang was secretly building up his power, and had pulled all the outer disciples over. Inside the secret room, Chen Xiang looked at the black bone-level fruit and sighed. Now we finally have time to see whether this bone-level fruit is a good thing or not. If that's not the case, I will definitely go to the Earth Dragon Star to find that Gulong. He used the precious divine lotus to exchange for it. He definitely could not lose out. Yu Er had already copied 2 of the bone-level fruits, so he was able to relax and give it a try. Eat and see first. If you can really condense bones, then use it to refine pills. Chen Xiang took a big bite of the bone-level fruit. It was surprisingly sweet. The texture of the meat was like that of an apple, shocking him. How strange, previously when I was refining the 3 lotus dan, those lotus seeds were already very hard, and this bone-level fruit should be considered a divine medicine for king grade, to actually be so brittle. The fruit flesh was very tasty, he frowned. Did I get cheated? That B.A.S.T.A.R. D. Gulong just took out the weirdest fruit to trick me? With a few bites, he ate all the bone-level fruit and then felt the effects of the medicine. However, he did not discover any medicinal effects at all, and he felt more and more that he was being deceived. It shouldn't be fake. I used a lot of purple pearls when copying it, so I don't need that many normal fruit. Yu Er said. Then I'll try again. Chen Xiang closed his eyes and continued to sense the medicinal power of the pill. He didn't know why, but he suddenly felt extremely tired, and unknowingly, he fell asleep. In the morning of the second day, when Chen Xiang heard Yu Er calling out to him, he immediately opened his eyes. He then stretched lazily and praised, "It's been a long time since I've slept so well." Wait! Chen Xiang frowned and said, I should be condensing my bones. Why have I fallen asleep? C-2289. C-2289 Chen Xiang thought about how he ate the bone-level fruit and started to look for the bones he had just condensed. Not long after, he exclaimed in surprise. He really condensed it. Chen Xiang himself felt that it was inconceivable. In the past, when he was condensing bones, he would always suffer a pain worse than death, but this time, he was able to condense it so easily. Previously, Gulong had told him that it would be extremely easy for him to eat this bone-level fruit condensed bones. Now, Chen Xiang completely believed in Gulong's words. He only felt that it was a bit incomprehensible. This kind of good thing was extremely precious, yet Gulong took it out to exchange. This guy took out such a good item. Could it be that he has a lot of these things himself? Chen Xiang said. He could only think of this reason. He really condensed bones? Where is it? Your arms and legs, chest, back and even your eyes, all 7 of them have bones. Yue also did not expect Chen Xiang to actually condense bones after waking up from a comfortable sleep. She also could not understand why, but she knew that this kind of bone-level fruit was just too great. Yue, the bones is in the head, is this okay? Chen Xiang said. My head now has 4 bones. Before, 2 of them had congealed in his eyes, but now there are another 2 in his head. That's not strange, even a bone could condense bones. Generally speaking, legs are the most common places, and these things will definitely appear, but I am not clear about other places. Even if it is only on one's finger, bones is still able to unleash a very strong power. Yue laughed. You don't have to worry, at least your head is pretty good, at least it can make your head very hard. Also, your head is connected to the divine sense C, it can strengthen your divine sense C. Where do you want to go to find a good divine soul to go with the new one? This was Chen Xiang's 8th condensed divine deity, and also the same double bone level. It had been like this the previous 7 times, so he did not feel that anything was amiss. Why not ask Wu Ji? Just tell him directly, this is your 8th divine deity, and it's at the head. Let him help you see what kind of divine soul you want to find. Yue laughed. Even though Wu Ji isn't at his peak, his terrifying body-splitting technique is extremely useful. Moreover, he also knows about Heaven Extended Method. Chen Xiang had only been in closed-door cultivation for a few days. After he left, he quickly found Wu Ji. Elder Wu, what are you busy with? Chen Xiang walked over and saw that there were many names written on a piece of paper on Wu Ji's table. These are the cultivation techniques that I gathered through my avatar. I plan to make a detailed record to let our disciples learn according to their own stances. There are a lot of cultivation techniques, so I'm busy. Wu Ji laughed. He had a lot of clones, so he was able to enter and study in those sections. He learnt many good techniques in those sects, and all of them could be recorded by Wu Ji. Elder Wu, tell me, what kind of divine soul would be considered appropriate if it was condensed on top of your skull? I don't know much about that. Chen Xiang asked. Bones condensed in the skull? This is a very rare sight. You actually managed to form it? Wu Ji was shocked, and hurriedly put down the work by his hand, saying, Quickly sit down, let me help you take a look. I do have a lot of research into bones, although bones will appear in the bones in various parts of the body, but they will rarely appear on the head. Chen Xiang sat down and carefully caressed his head. He frowned his old eyebrows and tried to sense the bones on Chen Xiang's head. What's going on? Could I have sensed wrongly? There are actually 4 bones. Wu Ji was shocked and shouted, How is that possible? Shoo! Chen Xiang immediately made a gesture. Why is that impossible? Leader, how much bones do you have now? Could it be that all 4 of them were stuck in his head? This situation is even rarer. If Wu Ji had not personally witnessed it, he definitely would not believe that a person would actually have 4 bones in their head. Wu Ji also felt the 2 bones in Chen Xiang's eyes, adding the one Chen Xiang had just condensed. There were 4 of them. Well, it's my secret, don't you dare talk about it randomly, Elder Wu. Chen Xiang said softly. He trusted Wu Ji quite a bit. Wu Ji nodded. I know, bones condensed in your head. Do you have any other feelings? Or perhaps there have been other reactions that I have not seen in the past. Chen Xiang shook his head. Other than the bones in his eyes, the 2 bones that he had condensed just now were extremely secretive, causing him to be unable to find them after he woke up. When I formed it, I had to look for it myself. It could be said that there was no reaction at all, but I tried it, and it can be used to absorb the G.O.D. power in my divine sense C. Qin Xiang said, Elder Wu, how do I usually use the bones in the head? I can't possibly be like the bones of fists and legs. When I am fighting, shouldn't I use my head to hit him? Chen Xiang laughed. Of course not. It would look very stupid. Wu Ji laughed. The bones in the head is rather special. After it appears in the head, there will be a few special abilities that the bones of other parts do not have. First of all, it can make your head even harder. This is the same as the other bones, it can strengthen the location of your bones. Also, the bones at the head can also absorb and transform the divine power within the divine sense C, making it very strong and transferring it to other parts of the body. It's similar to the bones of your legs. Because it's convenient to attack, it's more direct in terms of usage. Chen Xiang said. The bones in his eyes could also absorb the power of the divine sense C just like the bones in other places. Yes, and the front and back of the chest are also places where bones are usually condensed. This is mainly used as a defense. Wu Ji nodded. And the bones on the head can not only protect the head, it can also protect divine sense C. Many peak divine Lord S know how to attack, so they have to protect their own divine sense CS whenever they fight. If you have bones at your head, then you don't even need to deliberately protect yourself to be able to play an extremely powerful defensive role. This is a great benefit from having a head full of bones. Wu Ji patted Chen Xiang's head and continued to speak. The protection of the divine sense C is extremely important. For example, if your body was destroyed, and your divine sense C was well protected, then it would float along with your consciousness, and others wouldn't be able to kill your divine sense C. This way, you only need a little time to cultivate and be able to form your flesh once again, and your body will be as strong as it was before, and you will even have bones. This is recorded in an ancient book of our undead divine race. Is there any other use for it besides this? Chen Xiang felt that his divine sense C's defense was already very strong. This was because he had the bones of his eyes from before.